created everything. Look what a powerful being you are. You did these things, but now you're in a human body, you forget the power you have.
What you do is what the whole universe is doing at the place you call here and now. You are something the whole universe is doing in the same way that a wave is something that the whole ocean is doing.
You're doing it.
Doing what?
Using your imagination.
Welcome to Meta Mystics, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And tonight we are preparing for the winter solstice that is coming up real soon, December 21st. So I believe it's the longest night of the year, isn't it, Byron?
Yes, correct. It is totally.
And what is so
and it falls on this one's falling on a new moon basically. So
Oh, all right.
Well, you know there's gonna be a little magic intertwined with that, huh?
yeah.
So yeah, obviously we have the Lord Byron Jester. Look, anytime we're talking magic and occult and spell work and just all of the Lord Byron Jester stuff, we got to have him on. And so we're still learning about all of this kind of stuff. Still very enamored by it, though. I feel like you can't learn too much about it. And to be honest, you're only going to use it to your advantage, or you're only going to use it or not use it to your advantage, right? And so these things are at least interesting to know, to say the least.
Yeah, it's a lot cooler than just talking about, like pop culture and stuff.
Dude, yeah. What a waste.
Actually use and have it serve you. You know what I mean? Give you something beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, let's see here. Get over to the chat right quick. This is Wonder Wiz Day, in case anybody is wondering. We always like to try our best to get a guest every Wednesday night for the live show. It doesn't happen every time, but it's always going to be a good show regardless. So yeah, every so often we like to bring back your boy, the Lord Byron Jester. What an absolute stud. Just like, and Sean said it a couple days ago, just thinking about you makes me smile,
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You just,
dude, we always have a good time. We always have a good laugh. No matter what we're talking about, we find a way to just find the most awesome bit of that, that topic, or even if it's just something hilarious that you said or whatever. It's like having Byron on is just like a whole vibe in itself.
Awesome.
hell yeah, dude. White Boy Wizard said, "Good evening, you lovely heathens."
Yeah.
Good evening.
You know, that used to be something that people would get upset about, calling somebody a heathen, but now it's like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty awesome to be called a heathen nowadays.
I don't even mind. I don't mind either way. It's all labels in the end anyway.
Yeah. He said, so manifest the shit out of some shit right quick, or what? Talking about
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's going to be going down, and I don't know. Maybe we go out underneath it. You said it's going to be the night after new moon, and he walked away. We'll be right back with that question.
He pulled the old ninja vanish on us.
Didn't even see him walk away. He did say that he was going to have to take his dog out, or let his dog back in. Dougie said, "Miss you at the COC live shows, brother." Yeah, we couldn't make it. Unfortunately, we had another guest fall through on Monday night who had to change it for the second time, the same guest. And she's a very, very busy woman, but it's somebody who we're really excited to have on, like somebody who, we followed all across social media and whatnot for quite a while now. And she actually reached out to come on to our show. And we were like, we are but tiny creatures compared to you. But
yeah, as far as what Jonathan's trying to say is, like, if you are in our algorithm, which I'm almost certain you are, you probably already know her once you see her. And you'll be like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, she's going to be worth the wait.
To have her on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so we're trying to set her up for right into the new year, like the first or second week of the new year. So that'll be a fun time. But yeah, unfortunately, so me and Sean, we shoot every Monday, Wednesday, and either Thursday or Friday. We shoot like 3 or 4 nights a week. And so whenever a guest falls through on a Monday and we need a show to come out by Wednesday, we have to schedule it on a Tuesday. That's the only other day that we can do it. So that's the reason why every so often I'll miss a Cult Live.
We still love you, baby girl.
Love you
Baby
too.
girl.
Baby girl. Ashton said, fish all day in a canoe until 10 p.m. on the summer solstice to now work all day on the winter solstice. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Kind of how the pendulum goes sometimes.
It do, Ashton said, Byron is the fucking goat, bro. I think he actually is a goat. I think he just manifested himself into one.
Yeah, I got him on my chest.
He changes into human form just for us, you know what I mean? Because it'll make us more comfortable, but yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dougie said, Jonathan, do what thou wilt, but come back to COC. I'm planning on still doing the live shows. Like I said, it's just only so much we can do. There's only so many days in a week, And Ashton said, I missed the name of that guest. Did you guys say that it's a woman who goes by the Alchemist? No. You talking about the guest that we're planning on getting on? White Boy Wizard, you had your hand up?
I was just gonna say, don't be getting mad or fearful either here. He built this whole empire. He's got to do what he's got to do.
That's
right.
See it. That's right.
Gots to do it, dude. Yeah, no, the guest that we're going to be having on, who we've been trying to get on for, these past couple of times now, her name is Dana Kipple. She's known as Dana the Alien on Instagram, if you've seen her. She's awesome. She talks...
I probably have. I think what you said is right. We've probably seen her in the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She talks a lot about plasma. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's kind of all over the place. She's kind of like us in that sense. She kind of just looks at all of the things that are super fascinating, whether it's science kind of coming along and finally figuring some of the stuff out that spiritual people already kind of knew about, you know what I'm saying? But actually putting it in a scientific way of understanding. And so, yeah, all of that stuff is like just the best shit, and that's kind of what she does. And so also she even puts up like book recommendations and movie recommendations and all of this stuff. So basically everything encompassing just the spiritual path,
Oh yeah.
Well, I hope it works out, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to. It's just scheduling conflict. She's a busy ass woman, and I get it. I mean, I'm not doing anywhere near as many shows that I was up until like a month ago. So I'm enjoying only doing 3 or 4 episodes a week as opposed to 8 or 9 a week, which was quite exhaustive. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that'll be a good one. I'll be looking for it.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's coming.
Definitely. Anytime that we've had something like that happen where a guest has to reschedule or something like that, it ends up like working out to our advantage. Like it works out in our benefit. So I'm sure it's going to be an amazing episode.
Oh yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact, usually whenever that happens, we try and, come up with something real quick on the spot because we thought that we had a guest lined up, and me and Jacob used to have to do that all the time. And usually whenever you have to come up with something on the spot like that, it turns out being one of the best shows ever. Like just coincidentally, I guess. And so, yeah, we just did that show on your boy, Reverend Ike. What a fucking stud that guy was. Love that guy. RIP to a real one. But Byron, have you ever heard of Reverend Ike?
I don't think so. Doesn't ring a bell at all.
Well, he's a metaphysical reverend, so he's not like a Catholic or religious reverend or anything like that. And actually inspired me. As soon as I'm like fully moved back in to Texas, because I'm here now, but just for the holidays, then I got to go back to Arizona, get all my shit, and then come back here, right? But inspired me. I am going to go to a metaphysical, metaphysical school. Well, it's going to be online, I think. And I'm going to be ordained as a reverend, sir. So you just opened up your church. I think you need a reverend in that church, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And going back to the heathen thing too, I think, if we move out of Utah and get a different place and move to another state, I was going to start another church, but I think I was going to do a more of a Norse church and probably call it Hedenheim.
Damn. That's a great idea.
Yeah. But I want to, because a lot of the, all the Asatru churches and Norse churches, They don't do any type of like left hand path stuff. It's all just like Odin and Thor. They don't even incorporate like Loki and stuff. So I want to incorporate all of that, like the trolls and the giants and Loki and the dragons and the and path working all of the realms of Yggdrasil.
Hell yeah, dude. And
Yeah.
actually we had on a guy, love that guy, but he was one of our very first shows that we had like as a guest on this show. And he was speaking very highly I believe he was speaking highly of Asatru. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Sasha. Yeah. It's probably pronounced more like that, like Hecate, Hecate, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Tomato.
Yeah, same difference. But yeah, that's where we really learned, a little bit about how exactly, because if you look at like all the religions, I don't know if you can just look at the religions face on and understand how to work with the deities and to work with the prayers and the spells and the magic and all that kind of stuff. It's more like you got to spend a little bit of time with it, understand almost like the perspective a little bit rather than just going, head first. Like, so and I don't know. I never really looked super deep into like Norse paganism, although I do find it very fascinating. Is there any specific gods or deities in there that you like to use within your magic?
I haven't really worked with the Norse gods yet. The As far as like pagan pantheons, the one that I have the most experience with is the Greeks.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the Greeks are
yeah,
awesome too.
yeah.
We've been
And
covering a lot of the Egyptian stuff lately too. That is sick. I just bought an Osiris book. Really stoked about that.
yeah. So I've been meaning to pathwork Yggdrasil pretty soon. That was going to be like if I decide to do any more big pathworking, that's going to be the one I do. You know,
And that's just the
because
tree of life, isn't it?
yeah, totally. But when it comes to like doing big path workings, I think it's almost a nuisance. I kind of just like working with whatever I feel like working with at when I feel like working with it. Doing a
Mhm.
full path working is like I don't know. It's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes.
Go into that real quick, like path working. I'm not sure if I've actually heard of this.
Oh, that's when you go like immerse yourself into like a path. Like just go all in on the Norse, pantheon and
Okay.
don't really work any other currents while you're doing it.
Oh, I see. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're just solely focusing on the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, but the main reason why I wanted to do a church like that, because I was going to open up another church anyway, was just to have a more concrete doctrine, you know? Because right
mhm.
now, like my apotheosis is more just kind of like built on the foundation that like magic and astrology are undeniable proof of creation. So it's just kind of basically having a main focus on like practical spiritual modalities and including radionics and psionics and stuff. But so it's more vague, just kind of anything where I kind of want to do something that's, solid and concrete, you
Mhm.
know.
I think there's something to be said about that as far as, focusing on the one thing. Like we did an episode recently as far as like a spiritual anchor, and I think if you have all of the, not boundaries, but the, I don't know, the guardrails up, right? And so you're more focused on one set of rules or one set of ritual or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You're not so spread thin. Because we tend to kind of be more of the eclectic. We try to
Yeah.
pull from here, pull from there, pull from. But then you find sometimes, I think, even with that, is that you have to kind of go in and process and try to get rid of the things that you don't really feel is serving you at all, really. And so you kind of have to go, okay, well, I don't really need that, and this kind of contradicts this other one, and so you're really trying to just make the best version of that. But I do see there being a big benefit in having kind of a more focused lens, if you will.
Yeah, and with the Norse thing, I think like I said, as far as the churches go, I don't think any of them have a focus on anything left-hand path. Because I want to encompass all of it. And so there is a market for that, and then uh when you including like the runes and just the style of evocation, working outdoors with the local spirits and stuff, I think you can create something like really encompassing that that can basically be used. I just think no one's done all of it yet. It hasn't really been done right yet, I can't even think of anyone that has a book on like actually like path working the different
Right.
spheres on the tree of life.
Damn.
So
Yeah, I wonder.
I just want to go hard on it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I wonder if there is a more tried and true way, like, so path working as opposed to being eclectic and kind of including, maybe your favorite, deities or whatever to work with. And I would imagine it's probably just like what you believe the most, right? Like whatever you accept in your own mind is what's going to work the best. Because I can imagine that if you're working with a deity and you don't necessarily, understand that deity's powers or accept it or believe it, then it's probably less likely to work, as opposed to working with a deity that you believe those powers and you accept it. And you know what I mean? Like, do you think it's something like that? Like, do you think that the level of belief that you have in the deity that you're working with will show the amount of strength in the spell or the invocation or whatever it is you're doing?
Yes, I do, and it's not just like your beliefs too, because I think one of the reasons why angels and demons are so powerful, and which is why I haven't really done any big path workings, is just because angels and demons are already a pretty big ecosystem, I guess. It's already a lot, but yeah, I think that one of the reasons why angels and demons are so powerful to work with is really because like everyone believes in them. I mean, there's like what 2 billion Christians in the world, 3 billion Christians in the world, and then even people that aren't necessarily Christian, they're still brought up in that culture, and so they're gonna already have like be feeding those thought forms, whether
Right.
you know.
It's already kind of built into their reality as a
Yeah.
thing that does in fact exist, whether or not they are fearful or,
Oh
or
yeah.
asking for help.
Like so at the beginning of this year, I was path working like all of the major devils. I was path working working with Lucifer, Iblis, Ahriman, and Satan. Satan, Hasatan, Shaitan. And it's funny because out of all of those, I'm the most familiar probably with like Lucifer. I hadn't really done any type of like veneration towards Satan since I was like a kid, basically still in my 20s. And it's funny because back then I thought like Satanists were like the real deal and like Luciferians were like the pussies, but uh, as I got older, I think Luciferians are, I think most Satanists are posers, basically. Uh, but it doesn't matter as long as you get started, right?
Right.
But it was so funny. So Satan was the last one I worked with. I started with Lucifer, but the Satan was when I finally got to it was so much more like solid and powerful, and it, it was like the one that I wasn't looking like out of all of them. I was looking forward to working with all of them more than Satan, but it seemed like Satan was the more profound one that I worked with, and I think part of that is because of how many people feed it that thought form and archetype.
That makes the most amount of sense too. Like how many people blame, fear, worry anytime somebody goes into the unknown, especially if you are a religious person. Going into the unknown is basically Satan, if you really think about it. Like if you look at it as an as above, so below kind of situation, and maybe Satan, he's the ruler of the underworld and shit like that, a lot like Hades and Osiris and stuff. And so like the archetype is almost built in throughout all the other different characters too, and it almost just transitions perfectly.
Yeah, but he was noticeably more intense and strong and than all the others. Yeah, it was noticeable,
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it makes you wonder. Well, doesn't make me wonder, doing the whole conspiracy show for the past 5 years with all right, just let's get this out in the open real quick. As far as what are your thoughts on the Illuminati? Do you think that it is Satan based?
Who knows? It's hard to say, because like these people use what's convenient to them, when it's convenient to them. Like everyone wants to say, like, like, oh, the globalists, they're like communists or socialists. They want to usher this communist thing, but they totally fund nationalist and right wing uh, regimes, and they do it to use as sort of a scapegoat, and then they'll use like the leftist regime to as like a wrecking ball to destroy the culture. And so I don't know. I've thought about it a lot. I do think uh, some of the stuff they're because a lot of them, like when you hear about the survivors and stuff, a lot of them do, even when they say like Satan, they always correct them and say it was Lucifer. So it does seem like a lot of them are into the Lucifer archetype.
Well, and they are two different people, right? I mean, because Satan, at least I believe, whenever it's translated from Greek or Hebrew, I'm not sure, but Satan translates to Satan, which is shit, what was it again? Like deceiver, right?
Yeah, I think it's like the adversary or
Adversary.
yeah, adversary. Yeah,
Yeah. So
it could be both though.
And yeah, but the thing is that there are many of different, characters even in the Bible that are called Satan, right? Like,
Yeah,
is it
same with
always the same one, or is it many different? Do you think?
yeah, same with Lucifer. Like I think there's a couple of apostles that get titled Lucifer in a couple of the translations. I think even Jesus is compared to it as like Lucifer is used as a title for him, and then there's even a Saint Lucifer. So yeah, it's the same with Lucifer because it means light bringer. Bringer of light. So
Which, if you look in the book of Revelation, it describes Jesus as that, the
yeah,
light
totally.
bringer, the morning
And they're both
star.
yeah, they're both considered morning star too. Yeah, so you know.
Yeah, dude.
And it gets pretty convoluted when you start getting into the names and titles, like in the Greek translations of the Bible. Uh, there's a lot of titles for God, names and titles of God. They're completely identical to Zeus, and I think even with uh, Jesus and stuff. So yeah, so
Dude,
it's one of those things. I don't know.
I feel like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm looking at the Bible as if it's a grimoire.
Yeah, you definitely. I mean, that's probably how it should be looked at as like a grimoire and astrotheology. You could probably use it as a farmer's almanac and know when to plant your crops, I bet.
Mhm.
But the it's a gosh, what was I gonna say?
There's this I've been
Yeah,
following
so
this guy on TikTok, and he does this stuff called I think it's called stelligraphy or something like that, where basically he's trying to see if the timelines necessarily match up with the stories. And a lot of the times timelines don't necessarily match up with the stories, which in my mind doesn't necessarily mean that it's a fake, because clearly the Bible has some kind of magic to it. I mean, call it magic, call it God's will, whatever you want to call it. We're on meta fucking mystics over here. It's magic. And I think that what if we just used it as magic? Like, look at each story as like, I don't know, like especially the Psalms, right? Like you look at people that are
yeah,
into hoodoo and voodoo, they use the Psalms as it's the book of spells, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. You can use psalms to destroy an enemy. You can use psalms to heal the sick, protect your family, whatever. Yeah, there's a psalm for everything. And same with the saints, and of course angels and demons and stuff. And yeah, that's the best way to probably look at it, is just as a grimoire, as a technology. Uh, I don't think the people that wrote the Bible were necessarily as like nefarious as some people think, and same with the Quran.
Mhm.
I think really though, because all the religions are based on the same thing, all the myths and religions, and even nursery rhymes, and even our movies and stuff.
Yep.
It's all based on astrology, and but I think what monotheism that the three Abrahamic religions did was they kind of streamlined it in a way to make it easier to kind of spread it around. They just kind of streamlined it in a way to basically conquer the world, because
Mhm.
between Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, that's the entire world.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
dude.
think it's very interesting though when you look at you know, certain characters, you know, or you can call them even archetypes, as far as like, you know, like we were talking about earlier, Lucifer being the light bringer. Now, if you can take this even into a psychological mindset, right? You can look at it as Lucifer being somebody, or maybe somebody that's an adversary, right? That's bringing light, right? So like maybe they're causing you some sort of trouble or distress, or like they're making you angry, right? In that case, they are the light bringer, because they are showing you what it is about you that you need to heal, right? And so like you can
Yeah.
look at that in just a psychological sense even. And I think that's what we learned as far as like the Egyptian gods. They were for the most part, at least what we were looking into anyways, was really kind of highlighting the archetypal nature of just the human psyche. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you can use the Bible as like a grimoire. I'm sure you can use it for many different things, you know, but sure, psychologically, you know, and all these people are talking about this thing they can't fully describe. So let's make a story and have these different characters that would symbolize what it is that we feel inside our own mind, you know, and
Yeah.
that would kind of map out your entire reality, and you can live that way, right?
Oh, dude, yeah, and it
Yeah.
kind of just reminds me of like even the Hermit tarot card. We just recently covered that, and dude, that light in there, supposedly, you know, it's two triangles, one's up, one's down, one stands for fire, one stands for water, and just like the symbolism behind that card alone almost reminds me of, you know, like obviously he's a wise old man, but he's carrying a lantern. Obviously, the lantern is symbolic, the light is symbolic, and then we did a little meditation afterward, and I saw, you know, the hermits, and it was a fun time. But you know, just looking at the symbolism behind that, I think that you could probably say that the hermit is similar to a light bringer.
Right. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that's what most of this is. What do you
Yeah.
think about that, Byron?
Well, you- most magicians look at Lucifer as like the god of forbidden knowledge and forbidden light, you know, and that's a
Mhm.
good way of looking at it. Uh, but you know, as far as like an actual like historical thing, like some people think that it's just a misunderstanding in the Bible, and they're actually just talking about some king that basically got too big for his britches and turned his back on his people, or his people turned his back on him, or something. You
Mhm.
know, but some people think it's just like this entire like mistranslation or misunderstanding. You know, so it's hard to say when you're talking about this stuff. You know, when on the literal aspect of it, if any of it, you know, is real. But
Mhm.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
but but anyone's, you know, anyone's. So here's the thing, you know, everyone, especially the truthers. Let's kind of call it the truthers on this one, right? Uh, I I think a lot of people are a lot more Luciferian and satanic than they think, and they have these attributes inside of them. You know, because if you look at like I just said with Lucifer being the god of forbidden knowledge and light, you know, I mean that's what truthers are. That's what they're spreading, forbidden knowledge and light, right? And then when truthers are sitting there calling out the government and these globalists and stuff. I mean, that's the Satan inside of you, you know, being adversarial, calling out that like, who do you think you are? What are you doing? You know,
Mhm.
that's that adversarial nature. You know, so
Going against that
so
that divine government plan.
yeah, so it just cracks me up that so many truthers are so superstitious about this stuff when they're pretty Luciferian and satanic themselves. You know.
Damn, shots fired. So Weiser said the Church of Lord Byron and Reverend Jonathan. It has a good ring to it. I think it has a good,
Yeah.
it has a
It
good
does.
fucking ring to it. I like it.
I would go to that church, man.
Dude, and I
Yeah.
was saying, like, how fucking hilarious would it be that I go over onto the cult and I'm like, you refer to me as Reverend now. Okay. Like,
Yeah, why not?
be
Legally.
hilarious legally.
You should. I mean, because everything you're doing is under the umbrella of spirituality anyway, so you might as well do it.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, and I was looking like really deep into it, and I'm actually going to legit do it. Like it's for sure happening. Like especially now that I
Yeah.
have a little bit more time on my hands, I'm not doing as many episodes that I was per week. I can really dive as far deep into like mysticism and metaphysics as much as I possibly can, and you obtain like a title of a minister. Like, that sounds sick. So yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna do it. Dougie said, Lord Byron, have you seen the TV show American Gods? Yggdrasil and Norse gods were a big part of the plot.
No, I haven't. No.
It's been referred to us.
I don't watch any new stuff, man. Like, I'm the type of guy that'll just watch reruns of like Xeno Warrior Princess.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been rewatching Friends lately, so it's not very magical, but
Yeah. Dude, you know, some of the dialogue that what's the ditzy one's name? The ditzy
Phoebe?
hippie one. Phoebe, dude. Some of her dialogue is like based. Like some of I'd never noticed that before, but some of the stuff she talks about is like, wow, that's pretty heavy.
dude, that's exactly what Luisa was saying last night too. It was so funny because she said something. It was, oh, I can't remember what it was now, but she said something and Luisa looks over at me and she's like, you guys are very similar. Like, you and Phoebe. I'm like, I don't know whether to take offense to that because she is like fucking hollow-headed, but at the same time, she's super into all the different spiritual stuff. She takes it to an extreme sense though, like, but I always liked her. She is that's definitely the person that I could have a deeper conversation with.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like one where some guy's trying to explain like evolution to her, and she starts like laughing at him like he's an idiot. You know, like that's what you believe? You know?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the shit. Ashton said, Byron, what's your take on the HGA/higher self? What is
Oh,
it?
yeah.
HGA's
The-
higher guided assistance?
That's the Holy Guardian Angel.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. But some people look at it as a metaphor for the higher self. Some people look at it as something different.
What are your thoughts on that?
I've never done the Abramelin, you know, but I've started this year incorporating when I'm doing like my offerings and kind of calling out when I'll call out to my higher self, my guardian angel, my guardian jinn, and my guardian demon, and my ancestral spirits, my guardian ancestral spirits, you know.
Got a whole round
But
going.
yeah, I've kind of started doing that to kind of strengthen and empower my connection and communication with them. So, but
I have a
I've
question for you, though,
I've never done
Byron.
the actual Abramelin because the Abramelin, I mean, it's pretty encumbersome, and I don't know if you really need to do all that stuff. But I don't know. You probably should at least fast a little bit, or at least go like raw or like a raw vegan diet when you do it. You know, at least maybe like the 80-10-10 or something. I don't know.
What's that, Abramelin the Mage you're talking about?
Yeah.
I bought that book and I was really excited about it because I saw online that it was like, this was a banned book and hardly anybody can get their hands on it. And I told you about it and you're like, it's not even that good. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to read it then.
I mean, it's pretty good. But you know, it's like one of the older grimoires. So part of the 90% of the ritual is literally just like removing yourself from society. The Mathers translation, it's 6 months, but people have corrected the translation. It's supposed to be like a year and a half. So you're supposed to go out in the woods,
damn,
with like fresh running water nearby, and the door has to open a certain direction. You have to have a certain size of window that has to be pointing in the right direction, and then you have to like basically fast and abstain from like meat and alcohol and sex and for like this super long time. And while you're doing it, you're praying like every day and every night. You're just immersing yourself in prayer and yeah. So
damn, that
it's
seems rigorous.
well, I mean, who could do that? You know, I mean, I mean, maybe you know, like during COVID or something. But you know, most people aren't even or even the 6 months. You know, most people aren't going to be able to do that for 6 months. Just you know, live out in the woods by yourself and totally immerse yourself and dedicate everything that you're doing for this one ritual, you know. But I have used the magic squares in the back of the book for radionics as a witness sample, and that works pretty good.
Oh shit! All right, Ashton, go right ahead there, bud.
Right. So Byron, that's a pretty good assessment of that. I mean, I was just gonna say, all you like that the whole Abraham Millen thing is kind of dated. Like, there's a million new ways to do it. you can
Yeah.
kind of cook something up yourself. But I think that it's important that you touched on the isolation is like the key factor in it. And
Yeah.
so you also mentioned COVID, and I just kind of did it by accident before I knew what any of this stuff was. Like, but like looking back on it, like 5 years later, I'm like, well, they sent me home for a COVID outbreak at work. I was isolating for like 2 weeks, made contact with the thing.
Dude, lots of people making contact with things
Yeah.
nowadays. You know, like it is crazy. And then
There
seeing the like going outside and just asking like, hey, show me a sign or something like that. Dude, it's not like it's no longer like the initiated that are seeing like orbs and shit in the sky. It's literally fucking anybody, because I see thousands of people every day that are posting videos of orbs just just materializing out of nowhere and then dematerializing as if they were never there. Like, I don't. What are your thoughts?
Video.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on all that orb business, Byron? Just out of curiosity, what do you think is really going on with that?
I don't know, but that spiritual component to it is like the most fascinating part that people can seem to summon them. You know, Mark Sargent, he was plugging these night vision goggles that are pretty good and pretty cheap. The company's called like something Angels or Angel something. I forget, but they look pretty dope. I want to get some.
Shout out to Mark Sargent, famous flat earther. Dude, that was a guy that like I was obsessed. That was my first like real conspiracy that I got into hard, dude. I was obsessed with flat earth for the longest time. And I was watching it like on repeat, and like because they have a YouTube channel that's literally 24 hours live rolling. And Mark Sargent would always make his appearances over there. Daryl Marble, who I used to fuck with, I loved him. Santos Bonacci, which actually we got Santos Bonacci coming on the show here in a couple weeks, which that is going to be a crazy show.
Oh yeah. He's a fascinating guy. I remember watching his lectures back in like, God, I want to say like 2010, like before people started waking up to geocentrism and stuff. But yeah, he's pretty big on the whole astrotheology too, I think.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, he goes into all of the myths of the world and just proves how every single one of them is based on the stars. I'm like,
yeah, all of them. Yeah,
come on to meta,
including our nursery rhymes and movies, everything, man, everything.
Yeah.
There was a guy. He had a website. It used to be HollywoodInsiders.net. I think it might be Michael Wan. I forget what his name is. But he had the Hollywood Insiders documentaries, and there was like 8 of them or maybe 6. But it's basically all he goes through like all of our major movies and how they all have the exact same story, and it's pretty fascinating. And he links a lot of them to the Masonic story of like the man that should be king. You know what I'm talking about? Where they go to like this third world country and try to pretend like they're gods, so that they can like mine all this gold out of the place. It's like these two like Masons go down there. I think they're like a British Army or something. And but he goes through it. He goes through like the Road to El Dorado and all these other movies. How it's all just basically retellings of the same stories, and it's pretty thorough. The main documentary he has, it kind of gets offset a little bit because he has like this short like Alex Jones rant in there that I remember, and that was just kind of like just kind of threw off the whole vibe of the documentary. And then he goes into the middle pillar, which is like a hermetic meditation. So he goes into that too. So it's just kind of weird because it's just like right in the middle of the documentary is just this kind of like stuff that probably just didn't really need to be there. But.
Does the I know about the 2 pillars, but doesn't the middle pillar represent the like that is the connection between heaven and earth, right? Is the middle pillar?
Yeah, basically, it's also your spine.
Okay, yeah, that makes the most amount of sense. I always imagine it just like as a lightning rod, you know, just that electricity coming down from the heavens down to earth. That's the way I envision it.
Well, it has like the lightning bolt coming down when you're working it in descending order, and then it's like a snake crawling up if you're working in ascending order. And I have the feeling like Chutes and Ladders or Snakes and Ladders is probably based on that concept.
Damn. I would imagine, yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I was just gonna say that you were talking about a lot of those movies being kind of a retelling of the same story. Like what in your mind was that story? Like what is it that that they're saying, like as far as the moral of those stories.
Well, as far as the moral goes, I don't even, I'm not even sure if there really is a moral. I think it's really just a telling of like Osiris, Horus, and Set. So I mean, there's morals in it, I guess, but I guess it,
Mhm.
but it's mostly that's pretty much what it seemed like.
Okay.
Osiris, Horus, and Set.
Oh, so Set killing Osiris, Horus coming
Yeah,
back to.
like Scar and Mufasa.
Mhm.
Damn, yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah,
And Simba's talking to his dad beyond the dead, right?
yeah,
Like up in the stars and shit.
yeah.
Wow, yeah, it's awesome to like, and it actually does make a lot of sense. Like if you're carrying out like some kind of spell or some kind of magic or whatever, and you want to power it up as much as humanly possible, and you got like hundreds of millions of Hollywood or Disney money or something like that, and then you can put it up on a screen for almost like all of the pop culture cultists essentially that are just going over there and just feeding the energy that are into it. I would imagine whatever spell you're working with is going to just flow right through.
Yeah, totally. I mean, imagine that. And I suspect that some actors have their job because they probably have like a natural ability to like manifest. I have the feeling like some actors, probably not all of them, some it's probably like good looks and talent and if you're willing to who you're willing to blow to get the job. But
Yeah,
but I,
basically.
but I do have the feeling that some actors get the job because they have a natural ability to manifest.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Tom Cruise, Church of Scientology, and who else is in there? There's other big names that are in there too. Wasn't
Oh
like
yeah, John Travolta, right?
Dude, look,
Travolta.
everyone's a Scientologist, man. And the Mormons are staked a pretty big claim in Hollywood too. Mormons are starting to crush it out there. Well, not anymore. Hollywood's dead now, but for a little while there, the Mormons were starting to do pretty good out there.
Mm.
Yeah, I could
Well,
see that.
speaking of the movies that have been coming out though, they got that new David movie coming out. Like he wasn't a very good guy, at least not to my knowledge. At least the one story I at least heard of him.
Yeah, well,
Got
I
this
mean,
new animated film about him now.
even Noah was like a drunk alcoholic. I think that's kind of the point of the Bible is that they're not like perfect people,
Right.
but they get asked to do these things that are,
Hmm.
yeah. So
No, it's just funny to see it like in a children's cartoon movie that this guy was. I guarantee you they're going to leave out the part that he had 8 wives. Just
Right.
going to,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah.
imagine they're going to leave that part out.
Yeah, the story that I heard was that like he he saw this woman and he wanted to be with her. And so he like purposely put that woman's husband on the front line. Like every time they went to war, he put him on the front line. So as soon as he
yeah,
died, he can move on in.
yeah.
Like
And
yeah,
then
he needs an animated film.
he's there providing the shoulder to cry on.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
like and you hear this all the time as far as like, well, the stories in the Bible, that's where you're getting your morals from. And it's like, I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
At least not all the way through.
Have you read the book?
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
I know. You look at that movie that was all about the Odyssey or the Iliad or whatever, the Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's such a great concept for a movie. I think people should do that with the Bible, some of the books in the Bible. You could probably make a really brutal movie about Job,
Oh, dude.
and then just make it all like modern times and change all the names and everything. But
Oh, no shit.
there's some stories in the Bible you could probably make some cool movies out of.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure that you definitely could. And speaking of that, Ashton said, I've read Revelations, I don't know how many times, but it's the most magical text I've ever read. And you think about it, wasn't because it was oh shit. Revelations occurred like in a dream or something like that, right?
People think he was on mushrooms. People think he was on mushrooms.
Oh, it makes sense.
That's a common thing that like a certain type of mushrooms are supposed to grow out there, but I'm not even sure if these places are physical places and people just, you know. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a
But-
lot like the acacia bush and it burning and, Moses getting like talking literally
But,
to God
yeah.
and God's all, my name is I am.
Yeah, I mean that's a convenient way to have a vision is with psychedelics, That's why kids do them.
Dude,
Yeah.
imagine you are just getting fucking ripped on DMT because this bush decides to set fire, and you are speaking with something. I don't think that he saw God. It was more so like in his mind, right? Like I believe that that's how it's portrayed. And God, he's asking who this is because he's feeling like separate. Like this is something that is happening. This ain't me. I'm here, you know. And
Yeah.
then God's all just, I am. And he's like, oh, I am. All right. I can call you that. Imagine like not getting it, like not understanding that he said that his name is I am, almost as a way of saying like, yo, like we ain't separate here,
Who's God? I am. Oh, well, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
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 I mean, if he would have only answered you are, maybe that would have been.
And really, the whole thing was just like his buddy messing with him while he was mess up. I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody
Yeah.
flickering the light
But-
switches or whatever.
Yeah. I have a bunch of Akasha bark,
Really?
So, yeah. So we should get some copy seeds and go out in the desert and get real weird with it.
Talk to God.
I have
I did that once, I think.
I have mimosa and Akasha. I put it in my organite.
Really? Yeah, that's the bark
Yeah.
that goes into making DMT with the little crystals that form on the outer bark, or is it inside the bark, right?
It's basically in the bark, yeah. But you have to grind it up and extract it, yeah. And
So is
So
it's kind of like keef then? Like if you ever like grind up weed and you get the little crystals that come out from under it, is that
it's almost more like making hash oil, but it comes out, when it dries up, it's like a crystal powder, but the process of it is pretty much like making hash oil.
Oh, interesting.
So you basically just grind up your material, throw it in a large mason jar, and then you add I forget how much it is, some lye. You want to use double the amount of lye they tell you to use. But you add some lye, the water, and then some naphtha. You can also use Zippo fluid if they don't have naphtha. And I have the feeling the Zippo fluid, because it burns a lot hotter and brighter. I have the feeling the Zippo fluid, even though it's more expensive, it probably works a little bit better. And then you just kind of agitate it a little bit, and then you siphon out all of the naphtha because it separates, and then throw it in the freezer. And you're gonna want like a separate freezer for this because it will make it smell like lighter fluid. And then you suck out all the naphtha off the Pyrex dish, and you have your DMT right there. And you can keep the naphtha in a bottle and keep it in the freezer so that you don't have to keep buying it too. So
It's like
super easy to make. You basically just gotta wash it like 3 times. Basically do it like 3 times. And there's ways of doing like a bigger batch, but that's like the style everyone knows is with the naphtha and the
Dude,
lye.
who's the
water.
mad scientist that figured that out?
Dude, what's crazy is the tribes out in the rainforest, because you have to mix, 2 different substances to get the ayahuasca to work. Because you need a MUI and you also need the substance. And they were like, "How do you guys figure out how to do that?" And they said that the plants told us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the MAOI is the thing that makes it last longer, right?
Yeah.
And that's why ayahuasca is like a 6-hour trip or some crazy shit.
Yeah, totally.
I would
And
be
you
so
can-
concerned.
And you can also do the same thing with DMT. They call it pharmawaska, where you basically take the MUI and then take the capsulized ayahuasca, and then but if you take an MUI and then blast off, you're gonna blast off for like 45 minutes. It'll last longer that way too. And then they also have the shamanic colonic, and that's where you do it up the the back door, and that way you don't need an MOI at all, and it lasts for like 3 hours.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I would be
the
so
shamanic
concerned
colonic.
doing that, with stuff that I made myself. 'Cause
Yeah.
the last time we did the 4ACO, and I was on that roller coaster going up, and it was like the most uncomfortable feeling that I've ever really felt. Is not like physically, I wasn't in any pain or anything like that, but just psychologically, dude, my whole world was just like, holy shit, this is chaos. This universe is just like, which in that moment, it really kind of made sense as far as like why magic works. you know, like just the universe itself is just like this force, you know, that nobody can
Yeah.
fully understand, and it's just like it's just ready to do whatever it is that you want to do. You know, you're just
Yeah.
right on that line. Like right now, we are just right on that line of chaos and just making it comfortable enough to get through your day. You know, and so it's like the universe itself, kind of like the past life regression I had was like it's so what's the word? Like it doesn't care one way or the other. You know what I mean? And that's why as far as like the white magic or the black magic or whatever, that's just kind of the labels that we put on it, you know, based on intention or what have you. But
It's
man, the
impartial.
self is just kind of yeah, it's just you know, like whatever it is you want kind of thing, you know, but yeah, if I made that stuff myself, I would be so much more concerned in that moment of the going up the roller coaster that like I did something wrong.
Oh God, I'm going too high right
Not
now.
okay. I
Yeah.
messed up somewhere.
About to
You
blast
know,
through that glass ceiling.
but you know what thing about DMT though, because that was like a catalyst back when I was in my 20s to really kind of start getting a lot more serious about spirituality. It was just because it how profound it is and how much it shows you like the spiritual nature of the world. It's like you're living this lie and then you try that stuff and then it's like, oh, so that's what this place is,
Uh-huh. It's a
you
realm,
know?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
That was definitely one of the understandings that I had at one point. Like one of the few times that we had done it before and we
Yeah.
were outside, dude, and I was just
But
like,
you know, there's
this is
a
just a realm right here. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Where we are.
but it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, you know. I mean, from the West Coast, and you see a lot of people out there that they have these profound spiritual experiences on psychedelics, and that's how they think that you achieve that, and so they just keep doing it, you know. And so I've seen people just kind of like where they think they're being spiritual, but they're really just partying their asses off every day.
Dude, it
Mhm.
just reminds me of
Not there's anything wrong with that.
yeah, sure. I mean, hey, live your life however you want to. You're not hurting
Yeah.
anybody. You know, you kind of just become a little hermit in your DMT cave. That's cool. You know,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's very similar to people that are almost I feel like you have to go through more steps than just the psychedelics. Like the psychedelics is absolutely a booster to get you to understand and get you to separate from your body and get you to understand that there is more than just where we are right now. And that's the most like ground shaking thing to me was that, oh my God, you never really put so much thought into where you were before and where you go after as much as you do, like as much than whenever you're on psychedelics, because it makes it so blatantly obvious that this place is nothing, not nothing. It gets meaningful. There's things we got to do here and everything, but it's almost nothing compared to like the bigger scope, especially if like and you know, it gets you to understand that there's just so much more than just here, and those places aren't even necessarily like you can't even enter into those places while you're a human, I feel like. Unless you go into meditation or whatever, right? Like you can't get into a rocket ship and go into the astral realm.
No, not really. You know, you can go out of body and stuff, but some of the entities you come in contact with on DMT, it's so weird because they almost look just as shocked to see you as you are to see them. They're like, "What are you doing here?" You're like, I don't know.
What is that? Why does that happen?
I don't know, man, but I think you are tapping into something that's real, and I think there is like this buffer that's supposed to kind of keep those two separate, and I think DMT kind of removes that buffer.
Yeah, it definitely does. Almost too much, I feel like. Which
Yeah.
I never would have thought that it could ever be too much. Like, especially before I did like a real deep dose of any psychedelic. My first like super deep dose was mushrooms. And let's just say I thought I could handle it, you know, and as I have felt with every psychedelic, you know, you go into it like, oh, I've done this before. I've been here before. Even DMT, I was like, oh, I've done 4-ACO so many times that like, it's probably going to be at least similar. And it is, except, you know, like this reality melts away and you forget that you're even living and you feel like you're kind of just a spectator to something that is completely out of your control. So you turn into essentially the hanged man, you know, the fucking tarot card. And if you don't turn into that, watch out for the struggle. You are going straight into the pits of hell. And not necessarily because you're being judged, just because you're holding on to what you believe is real. And the DMT and any psychedelic will just be like, you think this shit's real? You think this fucking reality is real, dude? There's way more than this. And sometimes it's, sometimes it's a little too much to handle.
It depends on the person, and also depends on what you're doing. Like mushrooms are really dark and toxic. I don't like mushrooms. Like so many people will talk crap about acid because it's made by the government and stuff, and developed by the government and stuff. And I don't know.
MK Ultra.
Mushrooms are terrible unless you're doing like Jedi juice, and that's when you basically extract it with like moonshine or like Everclear. It's like it's kind of like making mushroom tea. You just don't spark a flame.
Right.
Because you're, but yeah, Jedi juice. It doesn't even feel like mushrooms. It feels like you took a hit of Molly and a hit of acid.
Oh yeah, and I've
It comes up really smooth and it goes away really smooth. It's what's his name? Timothy Leary. He said pure psilocybin crystals was the Rolls Royce of psychedelics, and I believe it after trying Jedi juice.
Wow, psilocybin crystals.
You've talked.
Yeah. That's basically what you're doing when you're making Jedi juice. It's basically pure psilocybin crystals in 151 or Everclear. But you want to make it really strong. So you want to to make like a fifth worth of alcohol. You want to use like a QP of mushrooms. You want to make it because you want it to where a half a shot will be like nice and colorful and a trip, and then a full shot is like a full dose. You want it to be that strong.
Wow. So you said that mushrooms, you're kind of like, you kind of stay away from that a little bit. Like, did you have an experience that like gave you that notion? It's like a very dark thing.
Yeah, I've always just felt kind of toxic and gross on mushrooms, except for when I was like, a teenager. But I like penis envies. Penis envies are awesome mushrooms because they don't have that gnarly toxic feel because they're potent enough to where it's like comparing a sativa to an indica, like uh penis envies are more like a sativa where you just feel like happy and uplifted. It's more of like an awake and energetic mushroom. It's not as like heavy and couch locked.
Not
But
in
I
the
don't know.
couch.
They just feel so gross, man. I can always feel how toxic I am too, and it just makes me want to just eat healthy and do all that stuff, which is a good thing. But it's too hard for me to have a good time on mushrooms. I just feel too gross. They're just too toxic.
Dude, you know what? I actually get that same notion whenever now that you say it, I remember feeling that way. And not necessarily like in a bad way or anything, but it does, I don't know for everybody else, but dude, mushrooms fuck my stomach up. Like to the point where I feel like I need to throw up or like go just unload whatever, right? Like it does make you feel like that. But then it just makes me feel like I haven't showered in a week. Whenever I'm really tripping hard, it makes me feel like gross and grungy.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, gross and uneasy. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Acid is a lot easier to have fun on. But sometimes that dark experience is necessary because when that heavy part of the trip is over, and then you just kind of get flooded with like serotonin. You're just kind of happy at the end of it. But that's kind of nice because you get this like light at the end of the table, and at the end of the tunnel, and then you start kind of thinking about like everything is going to be awesome moving forward. Everything that's going to kick ass about the next phase of your life. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's they're designed that way. But I just don't like them, man. But I don't ever do psychedelics. Like I talk a big game. I'm from the West Coast, so it's like normal over there. But I just don't like especially dedicating a whole day to them. That's another thing with psychedelics. They last forever.
I know.
I think, like you were saying before, as far as it being like, yeah, you can use it to kind of like give you a little boost, maybe show you some things, maybe see that darkness or whatever it is. But like after that, I feel like you get to a certain point in your journey, at least in my experience, where I feel like I am okay with just kind of experiencing what kind of comes next and try to use some of the things I've learned to toward that. But as far as like using it all the time. I mean, I think I'm to the point where I don't think I want to even do psychedelics anymore.
Yeah,
Like that's some real
totally.
shit.
Yeah, they're pretty toxic. Microdosing is not so bad. out in Washington, which I'm so glad I'm not living in Washington right now, dude. They just got smashed, dude. Have you guys seen that flood?
Mm-mm.
Washington
Oh,
State, right?
yeah, dude. Western Washington, and it's right in the counties that I lived in, man. So, yeah, it's rough out there right now.
That
But
sucks.
but people were selling these um candy bars. They're like nice and they're kind of like flat and thin, so it's easy to break off pieces of them. And they're all like measured, so you have like little corners you can how many pieces you can break off of it. And they were penis envy, these little penis envy candy bars. They had like the power up, it had like a like Mario on Yoshi with like a little green mushroom, one up power up things. And those were great because you could just eat like a tiny bit of it. It kind of tunes you into that magical way of thinking and seeing things without, feeling too toxic.
I
But
actually saw somebody was selling something like that similar on online, but it wasn't mushrooms. It was just like a super high dosage of nootropics to where
oh
it's so like
wow.
so much nootropics to it makes you feel like you're tripping depending on like how much you take. I don't know if they were chocolates or gummies or something like that, but supposedly you take one and you're feeling all fuzzy and the lights get a little bit more rainbowy and everything. You take two, maybe you talk to God. I don't know. You take three, then it's like your reality is shattering and you're trying to find your way back to your body and like a bunch of weird shit. But it's crazy that even nootropics can do that for you, which, it's directly affecting the brain anyway. And I imagine just a lot of your serotonin levels.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We used to, like a bunch of my buddies and stuff, would make these mushroom chocolates, these peanut butter cups, and would put in like orange zest and like nutmeg and like all this stuff to kind of like enhance the trip a little bit on its own.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, raw chocolate and stuff. It's good stuff.
All right, Byron, we need to get to some winter solstice stuff. I swear
Oh yeah.
we always, every time we have you on, we always have like a plan and we never get to the plan until like an hour in. So we're going to go full on winter solstice from here on out. What are some things that you're looking forward to? You personally, what are you looking forward to doing this upcoming winter solstice? And like, what are some things that you've done in the past on certain winter solstices?
Well, I usually, when it comes to the equinoxes and solstices and stuff, I kind of, it's almost like a quarterly goal thing, but it usually just kind of depends on what day of the week it falls on. This one's on Sunday, and it's also basically on the full moon. The full moon's on Saturday. So I kind of really kind of go by like what's relevant to my life at that moment and what day it falls on and if any planets are retrograde or not and that kind of stuff. But I usually use like the equinoxes and the solstices as a it's almost like a quarterly goal thing where I kind of like reassess like what the next few months are going to be and what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year too. So
That's pretty crazy
yeah.
that it's falling right in between a full moon and a new moon. Like I feel like
I mean new
that's got to
moon. I
be
mean new moon. I mean new moon. I mean it was a new moon. Did I say full moon?
yeah. Oh,
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, it's
okay.
on the new moon. Yeah, it's on the new moon on Saturday. The new moon Saturday, and the solstice is on Sunday.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Yeah, it's and I guess it's different everywhere, like all over the world, obviously. But it says at least in the northern hemisphere, around about time is Sunday, December 21st at 9:03 a.m. is technically like direct, the middle of it.
Yeah,
Or whenever
yeah.
is that the middle of it or is that when it starts?
I'm not sure if they do it like a full moon. It might be right when it starts.
Hmm.
I would assume it's right when it starts because the the solstice is when the sun reaches its lowest point on the horizon, or when it moves out and is directly over the Tropic of Capricorn. So it sits there for about 3 days and it moves 1 degree north or up. So that's where you have like the sun dies for 3 days and is resurrected, born again.
Mm,
That's where you have that.
where have I heard that story before?
Oh yeah. So we probably should. I mean, I talked about this last time, I think, but anyway, the three kings are the three magi that follow the star in the east to see the birth of Jesus. The three kings are the three stars in Orion's belt, and they point to Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. And on December 21st or 25th, it points to the sunrise. And I actually stayed up all night in Washington, like it's probably almost been 20 years, like 18 years ago. And I saw it firsthand. It does point directly to the sunrise. That's why you have the three kings follow the star in the east to the birth of the sun.
Yeah, in Bethlehem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking it up here. It says a theme of a god dying and rising, often around a 3-day period, appears in several ancient myths. And so, if we're just trying to portray it into the winter solstice here, they're all kind of talking about this moment in their year, right? Or at least as the story goes. But it says most famously in Christianity with Jesus's resurrection, but also in older traditions like Sumerian, is it Inanna?
Yeah.
Haven't really looked too much into Sumerian, but Egyptian Osiris, which we just learned about, Greek Dionysus, and Mesoamerican Quetzalcoatl. Shout out. Symbolizing death, rebirth, and cosmic cycles, with the 3 days serving as a powerful literary motif for transformation and new beginnings, bridging human experience with divine power.
Yeah.
I would say it's a pretty good day to go out there and, try and manifest some shit.
Yeah, it's the darkest day of the year, Dude, it's crazy because I'm further south now, like down in Utah, and on the winter solstice in Washington, it's like dark. Or where I lived, it's not too far from Canada, but it was dark at like 4:20 on the solstice, right? Like maybe 4:24 or something. But
nice.
Right around 4:20, it was dark, and here it doesn't get dark until like 5 o'clock or 5:10, maybe 15. It's like it's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird. So yeah, that was it's what did I say? 9:05?
Yeah, 9:04, I think. Might have been 9:05. 9:03.
9:03. Yeah, that's Central Time. So
yeah,
if you're living over in Arizona, I guess that'll be 8:03. Is it 8? You're an hour back. So 8:03 a.m. Sunday, December 21st.
Yeah. But Saturday, I'm doing something big too on Saturday. I'm doing making a servitor. And then I got all my candles and incense and everything programmed for Sunday. So can't wait.
So is the idea that you want to try and simulate going down into the deepest depths of the darkness and then like finding some kind of, for a lack of a better term, a key or an ankh or something like that, and then coming back up and being reborn? So like, if that is, the ideologically what we're supposed to be doing, like, what would you say? I mean, like, stay inside. Like, what would you do if that was a magical thing?
It's pretty cold, and it's a new moon, so it's going to be dark outside too on top of it. So I mean, it's up to you. But like I said, for me, I'm focusing on something specific to what's going on in my life right now. But there's lots of people that have like videos on like solstice magic and what to focus on for that time. Like, I mean, probably if it wasn't for like all the thought form from everyone enjoying Christmas and having all these family get-togethers, it'd probably be a good time to curse someone, especially this Saturday, But same with the fall. A lot of people don't like doing a lot of beneficial stuff in the fall because it's like they kind of notice like certain things don't work as good. I really just focus on like where the planets are a little bit, what time and part of the day that it falls on. So if it's on a Sunday, then I might do something more solar influenced than if it was on a Saturday. But I'm really, for me, like especially right now, I'm just focusing on these next set of goals that I have going on. So I'm just going by like what I need right now.
Exactly. And I think that's really what it comes down to, man. And if you look at it, man, what you just said and kind of what we were saying in our very most recent episode is really trying to live more consciously. And so rather than just being wrapped up in the holiday and things going on, like you're thinking about the next 3 months, what you would like to do, and you're using the symbolic nature of the natural cycle of the moon and everything else, and you're really trying to tap into and become one with that and plan, and instead of just kind of letting your subconscious kind of lead you around. You are consciously trying to make things happen. That's the magic, you know?
Yeah, and I already kind of instinctively know exactly like what I need to focus on and what time of day would be the best time to do it. After from doing it for so long, you just feel it. But yeah, kind of going back to the whole like Christian element, because the occultists, especially this time of year, and a lot of the Christians will talk about how Christmas is a pagan holiday and it's this and it's that, and I look at it like when you're basically venerating creation when you start celebrating having these celebrations and rituals or whatever you're doing for the equinoxes and the solstices. You're basically venerating creation, and as a result you're venerating the creator. And when you start doing these rituals and just paying attention to it, and you start tuning in and living in alignment uh with creation, so in turn you're living in an alignment with the creator. So I think Christians kind of, and the occultists and the atheists, like this is like the one subject where I feel like the critics and the apologists totally missed the fucking point, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah, they don't
So
realize that like all that stuff is kind of happening within them, and I think that you know what, this actually, not to step too far away from the solstice talk, but whenever we're talking, and I just love bringing up these kind of questions to you because I know you're in this shit. But like, for example, whenever you are working with demons or angels or whatever deity that it is you're working with, where do you imagine, whenever you're working with them, where do you imagine that they are? Do you imagine that they're in a physical place, or do you imagine as if they are working through you, as if like you are almost summoning that energy or that spirit or whatever your belief about that archetype is being manifested within your own body, and that magic or that power is coming through your own hands? Do you think that it's something like that, or like how do you look at it?
well, if I'm doing an evocation, I'm yeah, because once you dial into it, you're picking up on the energies, and then you're kind of forcing it into, I wouldn't even say forcing it, but you're projecting it into a some type of medium. Could be a cloud of smoke or a mirror, a bowl of water, whatever, a crystal, whatever. I like to use the scrying mirror a lot. But as far as like where they come from, I just imagine that I'm summoning them into this part of the realm, and into these physical things, and even me psychically giving it a body is kind of giving it what it needs to accomplish what I need it to accomplish, you know. But it's yeah. So I mean, I'm not sure if I really quite understand the question,
I mean,
really.
is so do you feel as if it's almost like you're channeling that entity through your own body, or do you feel like these entities are external spirits that are doing your work even whenever you're not like allowing that energy to flow through you?
Oh, I don't know, man. I see it as I see them as external, whether they are or they're not, because I think that it's like that power of belief thing, you know, and so I prefer sticking with the information model, or not information model, the spiritual model for magic. Um, but I mean, I still also agree with the psychological and the information models of magic too. But for the most part, because I just think here's the thing. There's a little dilemma going on. So people that subscribe to the psychological aspect of magic, the psychological model, strictly, they their lives usually don't fall apart as often as people that subscribe to the spiritual models. They're usually like healthier minded people, and they're usually more successful. But at the same time, like there's a certain level of results they don't get. Like a lot of them will tell you it's impossible to kill someone with magic, and objectively that's false. You know, objectively. So where like people that believe really strongly in the spiritual model for magic know absolutely like that is true. But some of them sometimes also like give too much power of their power to these external forces. And yeah, like I said, sometimes people that are really stuck on the spiritual model you'll see their lives fall apart every once in a while. They might deal with some mental health issues here and there. Yeah, so I think there is a balance between the two.
Yeah,
You see
they're
what I'm
definitely,
saying?
yeah, for
Because
sure.
it seems like if you believe too strongly in the one model, you're totally missing the other. And here's the thing: why does it have to be one or the other anyway?
Yeah,
You
maybe you
know?
should incorporate both of them anyway. I mean, because
Yeah,
the spirit realm can be, you, like the universe in you, essentially. Like if we're getting like, I don't know, like
yeah,
romantic about it or whatever. But this physical realm is all these other people that have God or have spirit or whatever inside of them, that active consciousness that is inside of them. And so you may as well like just say, all right, well, I can use a spirit that is outside of me, but also a spirit that's inside of me. I don't necessarily think that it has to be one or the other. That makes sense.
yeah, totally. And there's also like the information model. Those are the three main models. There's like seven, eight, I don't know, probably more. Who knows? There's probably over 10 models for Magic, but the information model is that it works on basically like an exchange of information, almost like a coding, and I think that's true too. That one uh, professor that did all the experiments, Dr. William Bankston, did all the experiments with the energy healing. He looked at it more as like an exchange of information based on his research when he was doing all the stuff with the healing the mice with Reiki and stuff.
Damn.
But he looked at it more as like an exchange of information because he saw that the power of healing, it seemed like it was more on the person being healed side than the person healing, and then it was like this exchange of information, almost like you're giving their body permission to heal or to allow itself to heal or something,
It's an agreement.
because one of the things that's kind of interesting about his research was a a, a malignant tumor, like something that was going to kill the mouse fast, was easier and faster to heal than a tumor that wasn't malignant. They would take twice as long to disappear, but if it was a malignant one, it healed really fast.
Whoa.
Wonder
All
what the
right.
deal is with that.
Yeah, who knows?
The Kabbalah King said, Byron, can you provide a good spell or poetic demon to provide revenge for someone expediting their karma? Kabbalah King, always on some shit. Love you, bro.
As far as expediting their karma, God, that's pretty specific. But when it comes to laying the smackdown, I like Lara Hay a lot. I like Lara Hay a lot. And
How do you
God,
spell that, Lara Hay? How does that spelled?
right off the top of my head, I'm not even sure.
Like, is it
I
all
think
one word?
yeah, it's like I think it's like Rage, I think, something like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
Oh yeah, it's literally like it's
yeah,
spelled like low rage. So
yeah. Some people also just spell his name as Luray. Some of the spirits in the Goetia are like that. But I like Larahay a lot for that kind of stuff. A lot of people like Glacia Labolas uh, for that kind of stuff. But as far as like expediting karma, you know, um,
oh, it's Leraie.
yeah,
Way I found
yeah,
it anyway. It appears in the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Hmm.
yeah. But I like Larry Hay a lot for that. He's pretty quick and to the point. As far as like a karmic thing, I don't know. Expediting karma.
Maybe an entity that has to do with balance. You know what I mean? Because that's really what you're trying to
Yeah,
do anyway. And I think that's where a lot of the like the baneful magic, I think it's all just magic, right? But I think that's kind of where it came from, was that it was just kind of that word that I can't think of, where it doesn't really care one way or the other. Um
yeah.
but oh shit. Let me look that up real quick. I'm sorry.
But
I was reading this
so,
earlier.
some people like Belial a lot for that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Vine, he's another demonic king from the Goetia. Vine works pretty good for taking out an enemy or dealing with an enemy. Uh, Hot Res is pretty good. But
You,
yeah, I mean, but as far as like speeding up karma, man, I don't know, man. That's I'd have to like kind of like think about it and like flip through the book. Nothing's really popping in my head other than like Larahey. Larahey probably be pretty good for it.
by the way,
The
anybody out there?
only,
Oh, go ahead, Kabbalah King.
oh, sorry, man. I guess like, hey, what I meant in regards to like expediting their car and the remind, basically in regards to like, cursing them because they've done you wrong. So that what I meant with expediting karma is I'm gonna curse them because they've done me wrong and they gotta come into them anyways. I guess if that makes it a little bit more clear. Like, I don't believe in cursing people if they didn't do anything to you. So if they did something to you, they're gonna have that karma coming back to them. But I want to be able to be the one to initiate that cursing, pain, and karma to them.
Yeah. So what I would do, I don't have a sigil with a thought form on it. But I would draw out the sigil, whatever spirit you're gonna use. We could just say Larahey for now. Because he has like a very kind of like to the point, kind of bypasses a lot of the BS. It just kind of gets right to the point. But like a vampire box, because you can put your target on the input plate, and then so take your sigil of the spirit you're going to use, and activate the sigil, do your full evocation, make your petition to him, and then on the back, help this ask the spirit to help you make this thought form, make sure it's legit, and then just visualize the spirit or or the target just meeting their fate, and then you just kind of do that automatic drawing thought form technique. It just kind of looks like a scribble like this when you're done
Mhm.
with it, and put that on the output plate with the thought form facing down. But I like using where I'll summon a spirit and have the sigil on the top and then the thought form on the bottom with Radionics. That works super strong. But if you were to like stick them in the vampire box, it's going to take all their energy and strip it clean. It's going to run it right into that spirit with that thought form to destroy them. So it's like it's pretty effective.
Yeah, that's pretty precise. That's exactly what I was looking for in regards to the question. Because lately, what I've been doing is, you know how, like, let's say for the regular invoking ritual of the hexagram, how for most generalized invocations and spells that you can do, you can mostly just do the basic invocation of Earth,
Yeah.
and the opposite would be the basic reverse pentagram ritual of Earth. So I've been doing that ritual, but I wanted to see if would you answer my question to see if there's like a more precise way to channel that energy besides using the reverse pentagram ritual in the earth direction, but reversed, and then invoking the name of the spirit that you're going to be using for that ritual.
Yeah, I haven't done most of the like in, in a long time, like the invocations of all the different elements. I usually just stick with the basic banishing earth element, the traditional banishing ritual of the pentagram. But I started doing it again. This whole like time I've lived here, I started incorporating that in my practice again, and I'm getting good results with it. That's like one of those things you kind of a lot of people would drop it after they start getting into like evocations and stuff, and some people keep doing it, some people drop it. I dropped it for a long while, and then started doing it again, like the last like 3 years.
Yeah, so I really started getting back into or started getting into the clip off. So I've just been reversing the rituals in regards to the lesser banishing rituals of the pentagram and everything, reversing them and using the basic pentagram pattern that you use for the earth, but
Okay,
reverse.
yeah,
And then so
okay,
I've been using that, but I was wondering if there's like a more generalized, precise way to get that curse with a specific deity, which you did answer my question. So thank you.
yeah. But even if you're working with the clip auth, I mean, most of those spirits can be used to, mess someone up pretty bad. Moloch,
Oh yeah,
so
Moloch and Lucifuge Rofocale.
yeah.
I've been invoking
Lucid,
Lucifuge a lot.
yeah, Lucifuge is one that I've been wanting to do a solid path working with. I want to get in. I haven't really worked with him proper, so I really want to kind of. And one of the reasons too, because he's like the god of packs, and
And riches and abundance. I've been using Red Lucifuge for mostly like abundance and bringing in
yeah.
treasures and everything like that, which is
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Good spirit to work with, but been doing magic for so long that I just wonder if I have like these like pacts or some type of agreements that I had like a long time ago, like 10, 15 years ago that no longer really serve me, so I kind of want to work with Lucifuge to kind of like uh
I was gonna ask about that as well. I've been first one I started was when Vulcan Azazel, which I actually put the
oh,
tattoo
okay,
right there,
yeah,
Nice.
Azazel, and then
yeah.
the so I was wondering if because I haven't I barely started delving into the clip off. Do you think these deities or parts of your subconscious mind, whether you want to think about it, your subconscious mind or actual deities or both? Do you think there's like a little rivalry or do you think jealousy with working with other deities, or they're all part of the same process?
Damn. Good
Yeah,
question.
it's
Good question.
yeah, it's something I think about all the time. You know, I do think that they're based on, elements of like, the constellations and the stars and the planets, the sky clock, and then our subconscious. So I do think that that's like what they were based off of. But with how many people work with these entities, and that's why I kind of think the spiritual model and the psychological model kind of go hand in hand because you know even if they were just like a concept that people came up with for like our subconscious or just even like greed and sloth and envy or whatever that but now they're definitely like external to the human experience for the most part, and until there's no more humans they might fizzle out eventually, but I don't know.
Well, just as far as the jealousy goes, like Yahweh is said to be a jealous God, it makes me wonder if all of them would be just jealous gods. But even looking at it through the realm of all of those, just put it in a psychological standpoint, that all of those, archetypes or entities are living through you or are being evoked through you or whatever.
Yeah.
How exactly? I wonder what jealousy would mean then. I mean, are we? I guess
You
like
know, I mean,
sectioning part of our minds off from each other, that this one entity is jealous of this other entity even though they both exist within our mind, if we're just looking at it from a psychological standpoint.
yeah,
Well,
like if you're working with, like with one entity, like let's say for Azazel, for example, and you're working with that entity for a good long time, whether it's part, I honestly do have experience what you're talking about in regards to it being external and internal at the same time.
yeah.
Like how Alistair probably said, it's all part of your psychological mapping and everything like that. But at the same time, I have experienced some external things and experiences during the rituals where it feels like it's already the egregore has already been placed through all these years and everything, where it becomes its own entity in its own mind. So
Yeah.
if that's one thing that I've never studied yet, where it feels like if I start working with Azazel, making the packs and everything like that, and progressing with him, would there be a certain part of Azazel starting to be like, well, why are you working with Lucifuge now? Have I not met you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think so with that kind of stuff. I've never had that kind of problem. Even with some of like the pagan deities, because some of the pagan myths, like Ares like cheats on like Athena like all the time, or was it Aphrodite or whatever, So I've never had any issues working with anything like that. But there is, some people will work with angels and demons at the same time or in the same space, and I don't do that because there is like an acid and base kind of thing going on there. And
Yeah,
uh
that's what I was hearing in the last podcast with what was your name? A co-waiting, where
yeah,
he was
yeah, yeah,
one of the
yeah,
demons referred him to go talk to Raphael in regards to healing his daughter,
yeah,
something like that, right?
yeah. And I definitely prefer angels for healing, man. Like um JS, he's done some healings with Marbus, and they had a Marbus oil that they were selling too that apparently is pretty good. Someone was asking me about it because they loved it and they wanted to get some more. So apparently it's pretty good stuff. But I want to look into like Marbus and some of the other demons that are for healing because I'm sure there's something they do better than the angels, but for the most part, angels are the best for healing. Because just being in the presence of angels for a long period of time is going to be healing in itself,
Yeah, I
you
could
know.
see that. I could see that. Britt
You know?
said she's referring to what we were talking about earlier, but she said that is funny. I just finally decided to do a larger dose of penis envy mushrooms this
Yeah.
last Saturday, about 1.8 grams in capsule form. I've been microdosing or taking some gummies, but it was never enough to cause any effects. But anyway, 40 minutes in, almost exactly, it hit me, and I initially felt a little nauseous and woozy. So I was like, let me go lay down in the bed real quick, and it hit me hard, and I was stuck within minutes, and I felt better physically after that. I actually felt kind of goofy. I was literally smiling and covering my mouth with the blankets so no one could so no one could see, even though I was alone. There were some cool visuals and sounds. It was overall a pleasant experience. It lasted almost 3 hours, but didn't feel like it. It kind of sucked coming off of it, though. Made me irritable and nauseous, but once I ate and stuff, I was back to normal. Yeah, it's weird, dude. The ride that you go on with mushrooms. And the thing is that they do last so damn long. And that's the thing. Like, you think about the ups and downs that you have just over the course of a regular day, and now do that on mushrooms, which you're tripping for 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever. And it's like, I imagine that there are some, well, not that I can imagine, I know that there are definitely some peaks and valleys in there.
Yeah, 1.8 grams of penis envies. That's a decent amount too. You know, because it might not sound like a lot to some people that are listening that have only done like regular Cubenzis, but penis envies are not regular Cubenzis.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah, they're
know?
tougher.
Yeah.
So yeah, getting back over the solstice, we're gonna be wrapping it up here soon, but getting back over to the winter solstice coming up here. So I'm not asked. I don't want you to get too specific because I know a lot of the workings that you do are obviously personal. Like, you're trying
Yeah.
to you're carrying out this thing for you at a personal level. But what would be an example, like a contrived example of what you have done that is not like shining too much of a personal spotlight on you?
Oh, I mean, okay, you know, I don't know. Like I said, it depends on, because it always just depends on the year and what I'm doing that year. You know, I don't remember what I did last year or who I was working with or anything. You know, but I really just focus on what's going on in my life, and then what spirits I might be working with at the time. Like if I'm working with the Greek gods, I might totally structure something around that. But I don't know, man.
So you're trying to get rid of something, just to put it
Well,
as
you could look at it like that, as in like closing out the year. Uh, you could look at it like that, like closing out the year and kind of maybe like shedding something. Maybe you want to work on getting rid of your debt or something.
okay.
Something like that. And like I said, this one is going to be on a new moon, on a Sunday. I already have what I'm doing. I don't really want to talk about it, but
Which I guess it is kind of contradictive if you think about it. The winter solstice and a new moon, because a new moon is about like new beginnings, basically. Because
well,
whenever you're trying to get rid of something, you want to work with the full moon as opposed to the new moon.
a lot of people will work on a waning moon if they're going to like banish something or get rid of something. They'll work on like a waning or a new moon, really.
Right.
But I mean, you got to think about it because it's like the darkest day of the year and it's the darkest day of the month.
Right. It's the end of a cycle,
Yeah.
and so thus the beginning of a new one.
Yeah. And you're already going to be doing something on Christmas anyway, because even if you don't do anything at all on Christmas, just waking up on Christmas and celebrating Christmas is doing something.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I
But
just
I think, you know, it sucks that so many people in the Abrahamic religions won't acknowledge the astral theology aspect to it. And it sucks that so many of the critics, and the occultists and the witches and everything, don't get it either, But like I said, all of the religions are based on this stuff. Jesus is an obvious metaphor for the sun. That's why he's always like shown with like a lamp for like Aries, which is the beginning of the solar year, which is when we celebrate the birth, the resurrection of Jesus. So even though the resurrection happens on the solstice and Christmas, we celebrate it on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox, when the beginning of the solar year. So And then he's always, you also see him with like a lion in the background or a big bright sun behind him. He's always, and then if you look at Judaism, you can obviously say it's like pretty Saturnian, because you look at the story of Abraham where we get Abrahamic religion. So, I mean, him going up on the hill to murder his son is a very Saturnian concept. It's not much different than Cronus eating his babies, eating his kids.
Yeah,
Uh,
but God didn't make him kill his son. He was just fucking around, dude.
Yeah, yeah, but the core concept of the myth is definitely Saturnian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you can look at Job the same way. It's pretty dark and destructive. Everyone suffers and dies in that one.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then and then in the Quran and all throughout Muslim literature, Muhammad is compared to with the moon. They're always it's always saying like he's shiny like the moon, he's wise like the moon, he moves like the moon. He radiates like the moon. So if you look at it like Judaism is more Saturnian, Christianity is the sun, and Islam is the moon. So you can look at it as the alpha, the omega, and the moon. You can also break it down into the numbers, right? The number for Saturn is 3, number for the sun is 6, and the number for the moon is 9. So you got 3, 6, and 9. So you can look at it like Judaism is the shepherd, Christianity is the lamb, and Islam would be the wolf, and which is the roles that they're playing out on the world stage right now.
Wow. Damn, I never thought about it like that. But of course, they're all Abrahamic, and they do seem to be going in order, right? Like,
Yeah.
like they obviously they are all like with the God of Abraham, and most of them believe a lot of the Torah. Essentially, that's like what most people can really get down with is the Torah, as far as the Abrahamic beliefs, and then it starts to split apart. But Christianity ran it with its own beliefs. Islam kind of added on top of it. They were like, "Yo, Jesus was a prophet, but was he the savior? No, I don't know about that." But then you look into all of them, and it's the people that take it literal, I think, is why there are holy wars. Like,
Oh
and
yeah,
if we
yeah,
didn't take any of it literal, and if we looked at all of it as it was symbolic, or as it was a grimoire, or maybe it was some fucking alchemist that just decided to build a story around whatever alchemy that he was working with, and you know what I mean, something along those lines, man, I don't know, man. I just feel like, go
like
ahead.
Byron was saying earlier, as far as like taking the magic, looking at magic, whether psychologically or more so like the more magical sense of it, right? Like, why not both? Why not
yeah,
look at some of the things and say, okay, if I take this literally, that makes sense. I can apply that in the real world. Okay, this shit right here, okay, that's definitely symbolic. I'm gonna look at it that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the extremes that will get us in trouble, I think. It's that middle path.
Yeah,
That's really
whenever you too certain that it's one way.
right. Right. Like if you're working with magic and for you believe that this entity being in your physical space is the right way. That's what you're going to believe, then do that because it works for you. And Byron, you've
yeah,
done it and it works and it's tried and true for you, and so
yeah. So it's one of those
but
things
for
where
someone
like,
else like me, like if I if I do something like that and envision an entity outside of me, maybe for me in my psyche that might be too much. Maybe that'll be something that I'll start to dwell on or worry about, and so maybe it doesn't work for me. And so like all of us are different, and so yeah.
yeah, but it's like people that subscribe to the spiritual model, they definitely get better results, and they have a pretty realistic idea of just how powerful magic is. Where like people that only subscribe to the psychological model, they're usually like healthier and more grounded and more successful. It's like more stable. So
Mhm.
one's going to be more chaotic, the other one's going to be more stable. But
Mhm.
you know, but there's power in that chaos, man. Like I mean, people that subscribe to the spiritual model, objectively they get better results. They
Right.
just they're going to be picking up the
They're not
pieces in
so
their life
bound.
here pretty soon. Yeah, but a lot of that, a lot of the picking up the pieces and stuff in their lives. A lot of that is really just from magical attack and just dealing with other occultists and being under attack. So
Mhm.
because that's a one of those things, and I think people underestimate it. And I kind of look at it like that's your fault if you do that, like when I talk about occultists cursing each other and black magicians cursing each other all the time, I'm not even really talking crap about it. I'm just, saying, I'm just saying it is what it is, but it is something that people do, especially now with how polarized everyone is, people will curse you for being conservative or just for them just thinking you're not one of them.
To be honest, that's why we try and stay the middle path, because we're not trying to get no curses or hexes on this show. You know what I mean? We're just like, hey, look, everybody's right. That's just the way. Think what you want.
There is a personality thing going on too, because a lot of black magicians have intense personalities. They it's kind of a you get some edge lords, but I'm not. But even the people that aren't edge lords, it's just like be opinionated. Just like metalheads. Metalheads are super opinionated.
Of course.
So you throw black magic in the mix, and of course, people are going to be, it is what it is, but
everybody's battling to be Merlin.
It's easy to protect yourself from magic. So it's one of those things where you should probably just know how to do that at the very least, because I always tell people, you got to know how to clean your aura, how to take a salt bath, how to remove a curse, how to banish negative entities, because, you can fix a lot of mundane problems by mundane means. But spiritual problems are different. You can't just like go to the doctor and have them remove a curse, so you should probably know how to fix spiritual problems at the very least, and it's easy, if you can find the good stuff, good information, which is it's so oversaturated with crap, man. Like TikTok is just garbage,
dude. Yeah, there's a lot of people on there that are trying to just.
Dude, I remember Jay Dyer was doing a video making fun of the witches of TikTok, witch talk. And I was like, man, what are you doing? I get so sick of like the way like truthers, talk about the occult the way they do, and they never know what they're talking about, or at least very little. And then
I actually like Jay Dyer a lot, but yeah, I don't agree with most of what he says.
I do too. I like Jay Dyer a lot. He's a really good researcher. But the thing is, what I'm getting to here is once he starts playing the videos, I'm like, all right, I'd be making fun of these people too. These people are a complete fucking joke.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I got nothing. I shouldn't even have gotten butthurt about it.
Well, it's the same across the board, like magicians and witches and occultists and stuff like that usually get a bad rep just because of all the people that like have used it the wrong way. Like the good wizards and witches and magicians and occultists, they never really get called out because they're not worried about that spotlight coming on them. They're not doing it for the flack. They're not doing it for, to be like in the Hollywood bright lights or anything like that. And that's why I think that like, it's almost like the squeaky wheel is always the one that, needs the grease. And, sometimes the squeaky wheel is the one that's just fucking everything up for everybody else.
Yeah, something about YouTube community is such a better community than TikTok, as far as like the quality of the people and the type of drama that's on it. Like, it seems like YouTube are like, the people are a lot more respectful and more intelligent. And, where like TikTok is just, I don't know, maybe it's the TikTok algorithm.
Oh, dude, TikTok has its own culture, like for sure. It definitely has its own culture.
And, it's like one of those things. It reminds me of like being in the mall back in the 90s where like it doesn't exactly redeem my faith in humanity. So.
Yeah, try going to Walmart at midnight, and see the creatures that walk out of there. Which I can't say anything. Like, I assume that everybody's dressed in PJs and flip-flops, so I kind of I'm not even gonna lie, dude, I go there too with wearing that just because I'm like, hey, look, I'm not trying to stick out. Let me look comfortable like everybody else. But the Kabbalah King, first you said, Jonathan, I've been dying to hear about what you've researched about Paul and Paul the Apostle and the Jesus contradictions. If it's too much off subject, can you break it down real quick? If it's not too much off subject and still have time or are going to make a meta episode soon, I've literally been eager to hear since you mentioned it. Yeah, I don't even want to give it away yet because I want to make sure that I'm like hitting every single possible point. And I've heard a lot of it and I'm putting together an episode right now, but it is going to be Dude, I think it's going to be atomic, to be honest with you. Like, I think that people are going to love it, or we're going to get cursed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so do you know the Christian whistleblower, Jeffrey Doherty? You know who
I
that
feel like
is?
I've heard that name.
Okay. He just got his YouTube channel back, so good for him. Hopefully he doesn't scorch the earth and blow it up again. But he's one of those people, he's a funny guy, man. But he was a Pentecostal preacher or whatever they are, for like 30, 40 years or something. And he one of the things I remember him talking about was there's an order that the Bible, the books in the Bible are a little mixed up, and when you read them and the order they're actually meant to be read in, he said like, that was the big awakening for him because he basically realized that the Bible was just like some lame little like Twitter war going on between Jesus and Paul.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that people don't even realize that the things that Paul was saying about Jesus and what it means to be a Christian, that's what most people align with nowadays. They don't even understand that they are Paulians, is what they're being called. And they're not necessarily even following the way of Jesus, right? Like, because Jesus was, dude, all the shit that Paul was saying, like, it's like night and day. I mean, it is literally fucking, it's upside down versus right side up. It makes no sense. But because the Apostle Paul used to be Saul, who was going in and basically condemning Christians and killing them and, putting them in shackles and all this other shit. And then he ended up meeting Jesus and some kind of vision on some road to, what was it? The road to,
I'm not sure.
No, I can't think of it. Anyway, go ahead, Kabbalah King.
Damascus, the road to
Damascus, the road to Damascus. Yes. And so he sees him in a vision. Bro, he has a couple of people around him as he's getting this vision. The people that were around him, they're like, yeah, we saw light. They didn't see Jesus like Paul did, or Saul, I guess at the time did. And so we're just relying on a guy who is killing Christians' vision on a road, and it's like, who's fact checking this guy? Who gave this guy authority? And you would think, like, of all people you would not want to listen to is the guy that made it a point. He made it his life goal to go and kill Christians. But somehow people are like, well, that's just what Jesus does. He just goes into the hearts and minds of people and just heals them. And it's like, no, dude, that's not what happened. Paul bastardized the entire story of what Jesus was trying to say. Like, it is, dude, I'm telling you. And I don't think people have ever, like, especially a lot of the Christians, they just assume, oh, Paul was a great guy. Yeah, he had his hangups or whatever. But it's like, man, we really got to show and discern the two stories about what these two characters are talking about. And it's crazy. I think it's quite possible that Paul was a made up character by the Romans. I don't even think that he was real.
I think they're all made up characters by the Romans.
Makes sense.
And ancient Rome, I'm not even sure how much we can trust that history, because it seems like there's a lot of mythology in that too. You look at the story of like Romulus and Remus, like being raised by a wolf and, and the fact that they're twins, it's probably really talking about like Gemini or maybe Pisces or Libra, but probably Gemini.
Yeah, I want to say that it was, don't quote me on this. Let me look it up real quick. Marion, something like that. Shit. All right. You know what? I'm not even going to try and butcher it right now, but essentially Paul wasn't even mentioned until like way later than you would think. And they say, well, yeah, Paul.
And that's only if the timeline's correct, because there's also that issue with the timelines too. But I think the whole thing, I don't think in the Bible Israel's a real place. I think these are all just metaphors,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you go into older Bibles, which was, very profound, looking at the King James Bible, which most churches will use that as their, like, that is their Bible. That is what they read from because they just feel like that is the one to go with. But if you look at even the Geneva Bible, and a lot of the Geneva Bibles, they say that they came out in 1599, but there was like a whole weird thing that if something came out like after 1600, then they had to get rid of shit or whatever. I don't know. It's like a bunch of technicalities, but the Geneva Bible dude, it leaves out a lot of what the King James Bible was talking about. And in the Geneva Bible, they have it to where they never talk about Israel, bro. Like it's all Palestine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's pretty sketchy to me. But anyway, yeah, we're definitely going to be doing a show on that. I would say relatively soon, probably in the next week or two. So yeah, don't let me give it all away right now because that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
You know, I mean, what's funny is like that's not even like the same Palestine. You know, like again, I don't even think Palestine was like a real place. It might have been, but when they like in like the 1800s when you know like the Zionists and whatever world leaders were trying to have all these debates on where they were going to put Palestine, and they weren't sure where Palestine was even going to be. You know, they were thinking it might be like Argentina. They thought they were thinking about Tasmania. They were thinking about Texas, a place in Texas. They were thinking about all these different places, and they settled on Al-Quds, which is what we call Palestine today, but it's actually Al-Quds.
Interesting. All right. Well, yeah, definitely look forward to that. That one's going to be a fun one.
Yeah,
if you thought the Nephilim or the flood shows were crazy, let me tell you, dude, this is going to be a fucking nuke. And we might just take it over to the Cult of Conspiracy and really drop it over there and see what happens.
Oh my, yeah, we're definitely getting cursed, dude. Well, probably. Your hand up still.
Yeah.
What you got?
Yeah, dude, sorry, I jumped into his life pretty late, but I want to get these questions out, dude. Honestly, I'm probably going to be switching over from the cult over to here because I definitely agree with you, Jonathan, in regards to all this stuff, like in regards to like clearing your mind from the conspiracies and all that stuff and just focusing on your spiritual growth and everything. But I wanted to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the whole, like people nowadays being born with like the spiritual gifts that everybody in the past had to join these orders and practice to gain. In regards to like let's say for example, when I was have a lot of problems with anger and all that stuff, when I was every time somebody would really make me mad or really do me wrong, I would mentally focus on my hatred towards them for a long time, and bad things would happen to them. What do you guys think about that whole, I guess, call it what you want, the indigo children, all this stuff that are already born with that and already born with the spiritual gifts that these old occult orders had to practice for months and years to develop these like powers and everything. That's the only reason why I actually started getting into magic, besides my grandpa being like finding out that my grandpa was actually a Kabbalistic practitioner and wizard and everything like that. But and he would only want to see me after like my grandparents got divorced in a long time. He would only want to see me and ask my uncle to come bring me to see me because he said that I was really strong, but I didn't know it. And what do you guys think about the whole awakening, I guess? Yeah, I guess that's a basic question.
You know, I think
the
there
whole
is
awakening with all this people being born with these gifts already.
I think there's some truth to it, and you know, and I think Crow 777 has kind of talked about this a little bit, you know, but you know, like the sun used to be a lot more yellow, you know, like back in like the 80s and the 90s, and now it's like white,
right?
And that there is like a raising of and I think but a raising of consciousness, and you know the Predator class knew this time was coming. That's why they were hammering us with all these like GMOs, vaccines, you know, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, propaganda, you know, like for how powerful this generation could be, man, they are cooked. They got hammered with all this stuff. But I think they knew that this was coming and that
they literally said that doing your own research was dangerous. That's whenever I heard that and that was being blasted all over the mainstream news like stuff, I'm like, oh, so they really are trying to hypnotize people big time.
Yeah. You know, yeah, COVID was a huge line in the sand for me. Like I look at it like, dude, if you didn't wake up after that, like, yeah, I don't even see you as a human being anymore. But you know, you're pretty much a beast at that point. You know, you have the rationale and reasoning of a beast. You know, my dog is probably more evolved than some of these people. But yeah, so I definitely think there is a truth to it, a raising in consciousness, and I think they knew it. I think they were trying their hardest to stamp it out. and regardless of all of that, it's still happening. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And
think that there's probably multiple things that are happening at the same time though. So
and
like,
I think Crow might be correct too about the sun increasing in frequency, which is why it's like white now, and that's having effect on us increasing in frequency too. So I think Crow is spot on that.
yeah, I mean, it's very rarely that Crow misses. He is just one of the goats. Love that guy. But, I think that there's multiple things that are working together. I think that that's definitely happening. But as far as like kids almost like I don't want to say being born into it, but just the fact that there are kids nowadays that are not scared to even talk about spirituality. Because I'll tell you, dude, whenever I was a little kid, I didn't know shit about spirituality. I wasn't
Yeah.
raised in religion. Nobody in my household ever talked about God or any other angels or demons or anything like that. I didn't even have a curiosity about it. Right? Like I would always watch fantasy movies and fun like metaphysical movies and stuff like that. And I would say, "Oh man, I wish this was real." And I always tried to have an open mind about it. But I think that it kind of depends on how you're raised too.
Yeah.
Like if you're raised to think that like, well, none of that stuff is real and you're just a human and these are all just fantasy things, then your mind is probably just going to like shake that out. It's like you can't really apply it anywhere or whatever, right? But then there are definitely people who they don't lose that curiosity of the child. And so like and it's not hammered out and like they're allowed to build upon certain thoughts and stuff like that. And since they are closer to the source, obviously, like they were there a lot more recent than we were, I think that if we allow them to play into that like framework of mind, then it could potentially open the door even more. And that's why, dude, even
Yeah.
my daughter just a couple of days ago, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm a proud papa. Here we go." Because she was like, dude, we were riding in the car and she goes, and we had my niece and my nephew in the back seat. My daughter's sitting up front and I'm driving. And she goes, "Does anybody ever just wonder, like, what am I here for? What am I doing?" And I
Oh,
was like, I'm
yeah,
just gonna let you figure that out. I want you to work
yeah.
on that. Like I'm not gonna give you any answers because I'm still working on it myself. But I just want you to like keep that.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. Maybe she's coming into her indigo self. We'll see. But it wouldn't be a shocker. She is my child, and we do have a genuine curiosity up in heel. But yeah,
Oh,
as far as all of that goes, dude, it might be the perfect storm for that shit to start happening more often.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah, and to go off of what Thomas Campbell was talking about, as far as like, because he likes to talk about consciousness and all of this, and really trying to find the path of least entropy, and so with all of this shit going down and AI and everything else, this age of information, people trying to tell you what this reality is. It's almost like consciousness itself had to create the energy that was the minds of people that are open, rather than kind of more susceptible to dogma, and so maybe that is the essence of the rainbow children and the, what I'm saying, the indigo children. It was almost like a consciousness's effort to create that balance.
Well, and we also live in a day and age where people aren't getting hung for this ideology anymore.
Mhm.
Like I can just imagine, like, whatever you think about evolution and DNA and blood and all that kind of stuff, maybe it carries some kind of information from the past. And I don't know exactly how it all works spiritually, but I imagine there's at least some remnants of the past that is being carried through us in some kind of way. And if you imagine that, like, oh, well, I don't want to talk about that because my aunt, whatever, like Jennifer or whatever, was hung on a cross, or
Right,
because of her witchy beliefs, and she was talking
right.
about about demons. I can just imagine subconsciously about how that information could possibly carry on. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but um
Yeah, for sure. Because there's always that thing of, well, we've always kind of had these powers. It's just a matter of now we're just
you
remembering.
see, that's what I was wondering too, because now we have the internet, and people are a little more civilized, so they can think about slightly more higher minded things. But because you got to think, man, like back in like the 1800s, like there's no electricity, so everyone's like just living they're grounded. They're not like, they're not wearing like rubber soled shoes. So everyone's like grounded to the earth. They're drinking organic water. They're eating organic food, and they're not being bombarded with artificial light. So you would think that they would be more psychic back then,
Mhm.
But like I said, now though, and they're especially like Zoomers, man. Zoomers are pretty open-minded compared to like my generation.
Oh
A lot of kids
yeah.
from a lot of kids from my generation were really closed-minded, and it was even worse for like Gen X and Boomers. Uh,
Yeah.
because like this is like Zoomers were probably like the first generation of kids that where the guys actually talked about their problems. You know, like guys didn't talk about their problems until like a while ago. I mean, yeah. So.
Yeah, you had
Uh,
to be hard, you know?
Yeah, you totally,
Um,
and any sign of weakness is going to get you ripped on by everyone around you.
right. Yeah, you don't
And
necessarily have to have that defense mode up all the time,
yeah,
which is ultimately animalistic anyway.
yeah,
And
especially my generation, the generation of kids that grew up on Beavis and Butthead and gangster rap,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
bunch of
dude.
douchebags.
Oh, I was definitely a douchebag until at least my mid-20s. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
And I
totally,
still I'm yeah, you ask certain people, they think that I still have it, but that's okay. Um we sir, stop laughing.
Not too
Britt said it's a totally different world now. I mean, government has literally been having hearings about aliens. And I
Yeah.
question that, dude. I question
Yeah.
the validity about that kind of stuff. I want to be open-minded to it. I want to be open-minded to your David Grushes of the world and your Bob Lazars of the world and everything. But anytime it's coming from the government, I've just grown such a disrespect, and I believe nothing that comes from
Yeah.
any side of any government branch. I don't believe any of them. I think they're all full of shit, and they all have their own agendas. So
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, like, all right, how are they going to spend this, and
Yeah.
and most people that have been in the alien realm for the past few decades, they'll say, well, they've been planning an alien invasion. This was always their end game. Like
Yeah.
they're always going to use it to their advantage. So I don't know, dude. And then he goes
Did
back
you
to, what was it, like Nixon, was it Nixon that I'm thinking of, or Reagan?
Reagan?
Yeah.
Reagan. I
Yeah, all
think.
we need is an alien
Yeah,
invasion, and
Reagan.
then
Yeah.
maybe then all the countries of the world would come together to form a new world order. It's like, okay, well, you just gave us the playbook.
Did
Then
you
is what you're doing.
did you ever see that interview with I think she might have been the housekeeper or maybe the nurse, to basically personal assistant nurse, whatever, to Werner von Braun in his like last days?
No.
Have you seen that interview?
I feel like I have, but it's been a while. So
Oh,
let's
dude.
hear it.
Dude, he tells her everything about everything that they're planning and how it's all going to be fake. But he talks about, the alien invasion and stuff, and he's like, and none of it's real, tells her all this stuff. But yeah, that's an interview you got to check out. I think she might have been his nurse and was taking care of him like the last few years of his life. I forget. She might have been a housekeeper. I don't know, but it's a crazy
None
interview
of
though,
it's
because
real.
everything she said is like objectively as either already happening or happened or as is currently happening.
Yeah, it's always the housekeeper or the babysitter. What was it? Elon's babysitter that said that he was going to bring forth the Antichrist or some shit.
Yeah, apparently he like opened up a portal or something, and then she like basically banished it, like called on Jesus Christ or something, and he was like, "What? Why'd you make my friends leave?" When he was a little kid. He's basically playing with like little like voodoo dolls and like these like kind of like Africa traditional religion style like relics and stuff for toys,
Dude.
which would be
Yeah,
awesome as a kid, man.
he opened the portal, and she said that she was actually the one that she said that she saw Egyptian deities like set and everything like that within the portal. So those Egyptian deities were actually looking back at her, and she was the
Yeah,
one that reported that she saw those Egyptian deities too.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. There's you would have to be pretty psychic to even see something like that, but she might have. She
Might have.
didn't. She didn't seem like she was trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, but who knows? But
I mean, it's
yeah,
ultimately it's just her interpretation of what she saw anyway.
yeah, totally. But still fascinating story, cool story.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Shauno, we need a tarot card, sir. Did you already have that baby
Dude,
pulled?
you're not even gonna believe me, but we got the death card, which
Get
ending
out of
the
here.
soul, we're talking about some dark stuff. You know what I mean? It kind of vibes.
Wow. Yeah. Well, especially with the winter solstice coming up, and it's the longest day or the longest night of the year. It's where all the ancient deities went to the depths and all that
Yeah.
fun stuff. So
The death of the sun.
the death of the sun, yeah, it goes away, for 3 days. So the death card, and we don't get this card very often, but
No.
Yeah, it's the first time for me being on the show.
death is the ultimate transformation, a cycle of release leading to rebirth. Dude, that's winter solstice all day. It says death is perhaps one of the most misunderstood cards in the tarot and one that is overflowing with rich symbolism. Death appears as a skeleton dressed in black armor, riding through a scene of figures near death or already dead, holding a black flag with a flower and ears of corn on it, representing the growing and harvesting seasons that align with the seasons of our lives. A religious figure appears to plead with death, while a child and a young woman kneel nearby, both symbolizing innocence and transition. In the distance, the sun rises between the two towers, representing the conscious and unconscious mind. The yellow in the card, the skeleton is yellow, the color of spiritual enlightenment, as are the robes of the religious figure. The horse he rides symbolizes the freedom that arises from embracing transformation, and the fact that he is seated on his horse looking down at the religious figure suggests that spiritual enlightenment transcends traditional religious teachings. The sun rising illuminates rebirth, a contrast to death's black armor, which indicates that shadow aspects once hidden are now displayed with pride. Death is protected this cycle of change, as are we all during times of transformation. So the spiritual aspect of it says you're in the throes of transformation of the self that may include letting go of old, worn out patterns and behaviors. This purge is creating space for new beginnings by forcing you to release the past.
Perfect.
Wow. Yeah, sometimes this is what I say, dude. Like, it is so synchronistic every time we get a card, especially here lately, dude. They've been on fire. But yeah, it definitely makes me question the validity of what are you doing over there, Sean? Like, are you
And I'm not fucking. I shit you not. All right. I shit you not.
Are you calling on the old gods for these readings, sir?
No, that one was just me, dude. You know.
Well, all the
Hey,
same,
man.
anyway.
Real quick, man, check this out. I made a new machine.
Damn.
Good God.
Isn't that
What
nice?
you trying to do over there, man?
Oh yeah, check out small stick plate down here, 9 dials, input output, copper output plate, antenna too. Can't really
Dude.
see it.
I
but
think it's
yeah.
probably damn powerful right there, dude.
Well, it is. I had to get a special power supply for it because it has 2 beefy blockbuster amps in here. One is on the input, so it's amplifying the intention right away, running it through the circuits, and then the auxiliary amp going through the output plate and the antenna. Two input jacks, 2 output jacks, little small stick plate, and the stick plate has like a really tiny a bit of texture to it, like a really small amount of texture. And it's nice because I get like a really accurate stick on it, and it also has 16 crystals in it. 16 crystals.
Dude, that thing will manifest for the next 7 generations of your family right there.
And I used a black varnish, and I think I'm gonna stick with black from now on because the black looks nice with the gold jacks, and it just pops.
For sure.
Yeah. Anytime you mix black and gold together, it's always going to look good. You know what I'm saying?
But, it's it's fire though. It's super strong. It insanely strong.
Hell yeah, dude.
I made it on impulse, and I'm offering it on JS Garrett's site right now. But I'm trying to find like a better casing for it. I want to find stop using these wooden boxes and have like more professional, better casing. Plus, I could barely fit the stuff in here. There's so much stuff in there. It weighs like 2 pounds. So I want a slightly bigger casing that I can do. Like put different stuff in there. Put more stuff in there if I can.
Hell yeah. Well, look, if you know anybody, or maybe you just want to treat yourself, it is the giving season. We are coming up on Christmas. And so you want to look into one of those fucking magical spirit boxes that just will help you manifest whatever the fuck you want, especially that big beast right there.
Oh yeah. Honestly, like, especially like, I'll guarantee I'll take the Pepsi challenge with any machine on the market with this.
Damn.
You know,
All right. All right.
yeah,
Well, look, we're
it's
going to put that link. Byron, if you could just text me or Instagram me or whatever, the link to your Etsy shop again. Or,
yeah,
it's in your Instagram, I think, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, it is in my Instagram, yeah.
Okay.
And over at jsgarrett.net, I should probably send you his links too. We're having a 40% off sale on Radionics machines until New Year's. And it was his idea to have a sale, but it was my idea to stretch it out to New Year's because I wanted to make sure because like people have a little bit of extra money at the right about New Year's and about ready to splurge. They had like gift cards and stuff. People are super broke right at Christmas, but they might have extra money right after Christmas. So I wanted to give everyone a chance to take advantage of the sale. And he was offering 50% off his rituals for Patreon subscribers. I think that ends on Christmas.
Who'd you
But
say
if
that
someone
was EA, you said?
JS.
Oh, dude, JS
Yeah.
Garrett is a fucking stud. We need to get him back too. I
Oh, yeah.
love, dude.
Well,
Honestly, all your buddies, JS Garrett, EA Quetting, L the Alchemist. I love that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
All
Well,
great.
Al the Alchemist, man, he's like a black magic cheerleader, man. That guy is so positive and upbeat.
He's
But
awesome.
EA and I are also releasing a machine coming up pretty soon. It's going to have alchemite cores in each of the crystals for each of the dials. So it's that's going to be a powerful machine coming out too, probably this next year. So.
Hell yeah, dude.
But yeah, I think JS is still doing his sale on his rituals. So if anyone needs something a working done, uh, you might want to look into that because he does really good work. And so,
Hell yeah. Well,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
40% off Radionics machines right now. So
all right. Well, look, the one we are going to have that link down in the show notes below. If you find yourself or anybody that you may know may be interested in a radionics machine, or maybe you want a certain spell cast by
yeah,
the amazing J.S. Garrett.
a sacrificial rite.
I mean, hey, chicken's going to die either way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, totally.
whether it's sacrificed knowingly or unknowingly, it's dying.
Yeah, and but that's if you need if there's an emergency and you need help, that's something that's gonna make sure that it happens no matter what. That's a powerful thing to offer people.
Oh yeah, dude. All right. Well, Lord Byron, we're gonna bus up out of here, but if you could you let the one know, if they don't already know, where they can find you, sir?
Oh yeah. So I'm Lord Byron Jester. My main YouTube channel is My Apotheosis. And then my Instagram, Lord Byron Jester, all lowercase, all one word. And then my Etsy is My Apotheosis too. And then yeah, that's about it. And if anyone has any questions, hit me up because I'm pretty generous with my knowledge if I'm available. So right now I'm a little behind on orders, so I gotta yeah,
Hey,
I
dude.
gotta get to work. I need some Christmas elves to help with the labor, or maybe some Oompa Loompas. But I think I'd rather have Christmas elves. Is that wrong? Is it weird that I would trust an elf more than an Oompa Loompa?
I mean, the elves are building, you know.
No,
All right.
that's fair.
I mean, you're not
Yeah.
making chocolate over there. You know what I mean?
No, totally. So
All right, Sean, any parting words for you, good sir?
Oh man, I just want to thank you, Byron. Every time you come on, man, you've always got some good knowledge, and I mean, you're in this world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
way more so than Jonathan and I, as far as just like really doing the work. Really trying to understand it just by experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like any of this is out of pocket for you, because this is stuff
yeah,
you actually are doing and putting to work. And so, thanks, man, for coming and enlightening us.
yeah. And
Bestowing your
everyone should
knowledge.
start doing it. Everyone needs to start doing magic. It's not as difficult or dangerous as people make it out to be. It can be dangerous, but it's not as bad as people think it is. I mean, think about it. Nothing you do is more dangerous than driving. You know,
Exactly.
So
As you said, we're already always doing magic.
you're
It's just a
already
matter
doing
of doing
magic.
it consciously.
Yeah. So you might as well make it work for you because most people are cursing themselves every day and they have no idea they're doing it.
Yep.
Byron,
Absolutely.
let me give you a little alley oop here. Oh shit, what was I gonna say now? No, I lost it. Come
Your
back.
mind is a weapon.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So yeah, again, there's nothing special about what me or my colleagues do. Anyone can do this, So just remind everyone, the mind is a weapon. Keep it loaded. Keep it loaded.
Hell yeah,
There it
dude.
is.
And I mean that in a literal sense as much as a metaphorical sense, So
Hell yeah, dude. Well, look, if anybody is interested in joining these magical, mystical shows every Wednesday night, then come on over to patreon.com/metamystics. That link is down in the show notes below. If you sign up over there, you can get a free week. And if you decide that you love it, then you can sign up for an entire year and only pay for 9 months. That is only running until the end of the year. Once January 1st hits, it's just going back to the regular. You're paying month by month at the regular price. But if you are not interested in joining the live shows every Wednesday night, and you want all of the other greatness that comes with Patreon, such as getting the shows days in advance, completely commercial free, sliding into our DMs, and being a part of the one and the entire conversation, we reply back to every single message on there. You can sign up for the tier. It's only $3.33. I believe we call that Marv's tier, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, come check it out. It's a great way to be able to support the show, and we love you all who have already done so. That being said, if another way you'd be able to support the show is to leave some 5 stars or leave a review, whether you're listening to Apple or Spotify. It's another great way to be able to support and help grow the algorithm and push it out to other people. Obviously, you can do the same thing on all the social medias. We are most prominent on TikTok and Instagram. We're planning on, once I'm fully moved back in into Texas, I'm going to be going live on TikTok quite a lot, probably every other day, I would imagine. I just want to, build the conversation and get it out there and just bounce ideas out with people all over the world. So definitely go give us a follow and don't miss out on those conversations too. But look, we're about to get over to the meditation. So as we like to say, if Lord Byron came here and he taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.
Well, that'll do it.
That'll do you, man. That one was heavy.
Dude, yeah.
I felt that one right in the chest. I don't know about anybody else, but I felt it like right here,
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's pretty crazy because I feel like maybe we think about that temporarily and then our minds just like don't like those thoughts, so maybe we start, we change the subject or whatever in our mind or whatever, or we assume that we think that whatever story you tell yourself, like, I just assume that I'm going to die before anybody that I love dies. Like, because I don't want to witness the ones that I love die, but it's probably not the case.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. I mean, I'm sure it's because we have to navigate this world or whatever, but like, you can go into a spiral and think of thoughts that are definitely not preferable. And if you can kind of continue going down that little path and kind of pulling on that thread and it's just getting worse and worse, and your imagination is just creating the worst possible scenarios, right? But whenever it comes to death, if you accidentally have a thought of that, just basically just your own mortality, really, you almost, like you said, immediately kind of shift away from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we do that with the other negative thoughts that we put ourselves through?
Dude, and even the part where it was like, now picture yourself getting old and you're laying in bed and you sleep most of the day and you're always tired and you got everybody around you and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I haven't really I have not put a lot of thought into that. I'll tell you that much.
Your relatives already accepting that. Oh, that hit me. Right, that was like, that made it more real.
Your kids being there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, dude. That was a heavy one, man.
It was.
Got me right in the chest, man. Yeah. I mean, I think about it sometimes, and usually I don't I don't know, I don't really get like scared of it, but it's definitely an uneasy feeling. It's hard to describe. But just the thought of like, who would you tell first, or would you tell anybody? And I'm like, yeah, I think I would definitely tell my wife. Like, look, I think it's getting close, right? Because I think, and how could I know, right? Unless I'm just remembering, I don't know. But I feel like you definitely know. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this deep gnosis when it comes to like, yeah, I think it's close. Because you hear that all the time. People will be like, yeah, I think this is it. This is my last holiday, or this is my last whatever. You know what I mean? That's kind of a thing that you've heard stories about, and so I think you really know when it's coming. And so when that time comes, I think I would definitely like have that talk, and then have that dying, that having sharing that death experience with my wife, like together, and just kind of like, this is it, like that's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I never worry about where we came from. Like, I don't usually typically think about that, so I don't typically think of where I'm going, and so I try to just kind of enjoy this, which I think ultimately is a good thing, really. Because
yeah,
we're
for
here.
sure.
And I thought that too. Like, I would definitely miss this, like all of this.
Yeah, there's probably, I mean, there's definitely going to be aspects that, that we're going to miss just out of sheer attachment. And because the connections you made and the topics you talked about and stuff like that. But yeah, it's, that was a heavy one. Definitely, reminds you of your mortalness. Kabbalah King, go ahead. Did you go deeper into that question, good sir?
Most definitely, dude. Obviously, I've had the death experience already, and crazy thing about the having that actual death experience is, once, a lot of people don't realize, but once as you cross over and everything, it's the losing, kind of pretty much what you described in regards to your DMT experience. You lose your mind, you lose your body, you lose every aspect of your who you thought you were in regards to your ego. You just lose all of that. It's just you just become one, or source, or whatever, and it's both. You think you're gonna remember everything. You're gonna think you're gonna remember everybody that you have left behind, but as soon as you cross over to that other side, it's like, you've experienced it with your DMC experience. You don't remember who your kids were. You don't remember this and that about anything. It's just, everything just becomes a blank slate, and you, I guess, become it. You become source. You become that. You become. It's, a lot of people think that you're gonna, after you die and everything, you're gonna remember everything, this and that, and you're gonna be watching over everybody as a guardian angel or whatever, but you just become the most blank slate and the most peaceful sense of source that you can imagine. It's weird.
No,
Maybe I didn't hear you clear. You said you had a near-death experience?
Yes, sir.
Oh, shit.
Sure did. I was interviewed with this on the Cult of Conspiracy. And then you were there. Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
you were there
I
too. Yeah,
remember now. Yeah, you were like
yeah.
watching it through and correct me if I'm wrong, but like you were in like a movie theater, like having
You're
like,
yes, there was the movie theater at first,
yeah,
and then as soon
I
as you go
remember.
into the black abyss part,
Uh,
um, you remember everything, and then this and that, and then I had that weird sense of like, oh, you get to go back, but you get to help out your sons to not experience the stuff that you experienced, but it's your choice, this and that. And then after that, it's that weird blank slate of, for me, it was like total darkness, but it was not scary at all. It was just it was the peace of letting go of everything that I was chasing my whole life through drugs. Having that
mm,
peace and letting go of everything, not worrying about anything, and then there's this that blank slate of just fucking the most zen thing you've ever felt or could experience, of just me being in darkness, no attachments to anything, me, myself, or anybody in the world. You just, boom, everything just becomes
just
the
going
most
back home,
zen
dude.
part. Yeah, the most zen part of meditation that you can ever experience. That's basically what death feels like. It's just, I don't even, if that makes sense what I'm saying, dude. Just the
yeah,
whole boom, blank.
Yeah, I think
peace.
ultimately it's almost like a repurpose or like your soul's circulation almost. You know, like obviously the soul or the spirit, whatever you want to call yourself, doesn't die. That continues forever.
Mhm.
And people have witnessed that through meditation and psychedelics and near death experiences and many of other ways, which is why we love talking about it so much. Because I feel like if we can come to terms about what happens when we die, then we can weigh it up against what, maybe what we're supposed to be doing here while we're here. Then it might give us a good idea about what our true, I don't want to say purpose, but like, what's the reason for being here? Like exactly why would our soul decide to incarnate right here? And a lot of people don't really have that answer, right? But if you can understand what goes on after death and a lot of the realizations that people have in near death experiences or super balls deep psychedelic experiences, or you hear about people that go on meditating for a week straight or whatever, it's like that's the closest that I think we can come to that answer. And still, if for some reason it's heavily speculated on, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I will trust somebody's near death experience that actually experienced it, that I can look into their eyes and know that they're telling the truth, or read a story and see the passion and the wisdom that is just leaking from them. And I'm going to trust that over literally any other dogmatic, thought form. Like I'm going to take it from the person. And because look, how many people have had those kinds of experiences by the tens, if not hundreds of thousands, probably millions over the course of time, that you can really see what's going on. And now everybody's, whenever somebody has a near death experience, it's not always the same exact thing because, of course, you're looking at it through your own lens. But that's the beautiful thing about it, is that if you've done one of those things and have been able to experience some kind of death of self, then I guess there's not really too much to worry about whenever you die because you already been there. So you're almost kind of familiar with it. And to be honest, a lot of people have those kind of experiences. And it's like, oh, I remember this. It is such a familiar feeling, whether you've done DMT or heavy doses of mushrooms or near death, whatever the case is. Like, and to be honest, I think that I'm going to get real with you, dude. I think that that's where we go whenever we fucking sleep, dude. Like, I think that like sleep is a small death ritual. And that's probably that's why it feels like home, because you go there every night, wherever there is. I'm not even saying there is a place. There is a place in your mind. That's it. I think.
I think it's interesting, as you were saying, as far as like you're trusting someone's experience. When it comes to religion, there's of course the dogma. When it comes to science, they can't really measure it. How can you measure it, right? It's like an immeasurable place, if you will. And it's like you forget that our own body, our own experience, I feel like is somewhat of a measuring instrument, but we kind of just, anytime you have a dream or anytime something like that happens, it's just so easily disregarded, but we're part of this whole system too, and so yeah, who's to say? The one question I have though, as far as like, because you were saying as far as like we all have our own lens, and so that kind of creates different experiences across the board. I would probably be willing to say that it's pretty consistent, but there are people that have very different experiences. And so, as Kabbalah King was saying, as far as the ego goes away, your memory goes away, everything kind of goes away. Whose lens are you looking through? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think everybody has their own different experience in regards to that. I think it first all starts off with, when I had my near death experience, it was the whole looking at my life through or looking through my actual death experience through the movie theater, feeling like I was trapped in my body while I was overdosing and everything. That was the part of disassociating from my body, and then finally getting into that metaphysical state of mind where I was Well, you can choose to go back. You can choose to stay here and get what you actually really wanted, which was, like find that peace of mind of death or
Mhm.
that you've been chasing through drugs and that peace, that everything that you've been actually chasing after this whole time. And then finally getting that little bit of experience of that Zen feeling of, and I actually didn't read this quote until after I had that experience where it says meditation is the preparation of death, which makes a lot of sense where it's you're finding that Zen state to
Mhm.
finally feel that sense of Zen that you've been looking, or not that everybody's been looking for, but
Mhm.
meditation is the preparation for death, the feeling for death, so you don't be scared once you finally actually get into that state,
Yep.
which is that famous quote. I forgot who's the one that said that quote, but
Dude, that kind of reminds me of like I don't know about everybody else, but like I need, like me personally, I need a place to just go and be by myself, like regularly. Like and some people, maybe they use an office, or magicians would call it a temple or whatever, right? But like, dude, you need a little bit of time to yourself to just recalibrate and just calm back down. And what's so interesting about that is that you're going into, essentially, like, symbolically, you have to go back into darkness to level back out again. And why does that separation from you, from the rest of the world, level you back out? I think that that's probably because it's our most natural state. You think about wherever you were before you were born, wherever you're going once you die, you're in, I don't want to say you're in isolation, because I think that you're just combined with the rest of everything else. But then you get to that point, I imagine, after a bit of acceptance, that you realize that everything is you and you are everything. So it's still kind of isolation-y, I would imagine, but it's that peaceful, just place that you go to that for some reason is very healing,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
it was definitely the most peaceful thing. The way I remember it when I died was the whole this is the way I remember it. When I died, what I remembered was that peaceful Zen state of being in a black room, darkness, not a room, just a black space, if
Mhm.
I can describe it like that, a black space where I was maybe, if you want to describe it as looking at a computer screen when it's off, just looking at that with everything, no connection to anybody or anything like that, but it's the most peaceful, relaxing, most amazing feeling that I've ever felt. And but once my memory started coming back after the near death experience, that's when I started remembering the whole being trapped in my body, feeling like everything was in a movie screen, yelling for help, not ready to die yet, and then getting into that space of light where entities, not entities, or a voice or a consciousness, that's a better way to say it. Consciousness was saying, well, you can go back, you can stay here, you have what you really actually were chasing for and really wanted your whole life, or you can go back and help your son to not experience the same mental illness that you experienced. And then, so that's the order that I remembered. Space, blackness, darkness, peace, zen, amazing feeling. The and then once, a couple months later after that experience, that's when the whole memories started coming back up. The being trapped in my body, and then the light and all that stuff started.
So you were presented with a, not to cut you off, but you were presented with a choice to come back, and you chose.
Choice, and it was definitely you've been alone this whole time, um alone, had to deal with your stuff,
Say that
but
again.
yeah, you've been alone this whole time. You had to deal with your stuff. You had to go through what you had to go through
Mhm.
to be a drug addict and this and that, blah blah blah. And then your son has the same mental illness, and nobody, you already know, nobody in your family can help your son. Only you can. So you can go back, deal with a bunch of crap that you have to deal with. It's life is going to be pretty bad when you go back, but you get to help your son.
Damn.
So that was the choice, and I was like, well, let's do that, I guess. And then, but I still got to taste that little.
Yeah.
Not that I'm ever gonna be chasing that or wanting to go back anytime soon or anything. There's no, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. But I still got a little taste of what I was searching for in peace of mind. regards to what I was chasing through with drugs and hardcore
Mhm.
mind-numbing drugs like Xanax.
Oh yeah, dude, you were able to respawn. That's kind of crazy.
Well, you hear people saying that as far as like, "Oh, we all chose to be here," and it's like without even really having any experiences, you're like, "Where are people really getting this from?" Like I've heard people say it, but I don't know, right? But you literally did choose to be here, dude. So that's cool. Just knowing that, right?
dude, and just like kind of measuring it up against like in the smaller form, almost like measuring it up against whenever you go to sleep at night, like I was talking about earlier. If you think about it, whenever you're tired at the end of the day, very symbolic to old age, being very tired, and you're wanting to go into that sleep to go back and rest just so that you can wake up, whenever you're old, you wake up for a couple hours before you take another nap again or whatever. But if you just convey that to your life right now, it's almost like you get tired towards the end of the day, you go and lay down, you rest a little bit until you decide to almost like reincarnate for another day, just symbolically, right?
Yeah.
And I would imagine that that is a lot what death is like, that you go into this death. I mean, dude, 24 hours in a day, we sleep 8 of it, so you're basically awake 16 hours of the day for 70, 80, 90, 100 years or whatever. I imagine you're going to want to sleep a little while, and not even necessarily sleep, but just be at peace and rest, not have to go through the daily rigors of paying bills and raising children, and you know what I'm saying? Like, not that those things are necessarily bad, it's just that it takes a toll on you a little bit. And I would imagine you take a little break, but what happens whenever like you're all charged up? Do you just wake back up again? And is waking back up reincarnating?
Right. It's very possible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've all had those nights where we sleep and we had those crazy good night sleeps where we wake up and we can't even go back to sleep. I've had that actually today where I woke up at 8 o'clock and I was like, usually I just want to take a couple more naps until I feel fully rested, but I woke up today at 8 o'clock and I couldn't go back to sleep. I couldn't even take a normal, usual 10-minute napper before the actual clock rings. I woke up and I was like, well, I can't go back to sleep. I feel very invigorated today. I got that rest that I needed that night.
It almost makes you wonder, dude, like, and I'm not even trying to get dark here, but just symbolically, I don't know, but like, think about the people that don't get to live until they're 70, 80, 90 years old and they die at a young age. It's almost very symbolic of like a nap, right? Like in a weird way. But yeah, dude, man, there's so much to just contemplate. And these are the awesome conversations that we just love having with the one out there. So really appreciate everybody that's joined in on the conversation. And
let me know once the recording is over. I do have a other question after the recording.
Yeah, for sure. We're actually about to wrap it up right now. So, Sean, anything else you wanted to say, sir? Anything you wanted to add?
That was the meditation alone, dude, was pretty enlightening, man. Just the whole idea, and as we were saying, as far as the meditating being kind of like helpful as far as the transition into death. Like that's actually very, and I want to say we have postulated that at one point. Because I remember going into a sleep or a dream consciously, and it was like, wow, like this never happened to me before, but now that I'm meditating and everything else, it's almost making that possible. And so I can imagine death being a much easier transition, already kind of allowing your mind to do that. But no, man, this was just a very, very fascinating episode for sure.
Yeah, Lord Byron always coming in here and just cranking one out the park, dude.
Yeah,
All right, the one, we love you, and we'll see you on the flip side.